liberty and justice for all.
Call the Exeter Town Council regular meeting for Monday, July 7th.
Dan Patterson, Ray Morrissey,
Yeah.
Diane Allen. Here. Lee Francisco.
Yeah.
Cal Ellis.
Here.
Next is acknowledgements and announcements. Cal, you said you had one?
I do, please. Thank you, Dan. This is actually a message to us from our tax collector. And some of you, if you checked your mail today, realize that the tax bills have been sent. God, she's so efficient. Anyway, because, okay, they're out in a timely manner, but you probably know that they're not due until September 1st, and there's the 15-day grace to the 15th. But here's what she asks. Please remind taxpayers that ACH automatic withdrawal is available for tax payments at no cost. If they're interested in that program, please contact the Assessor Tax Collector's Office or print the form from the town website. Thank you, Dan.
I got one more. I just want to acknowledge, we had someone in that packet about Esteban. He had completed, met the necessary requirements, awarded the certificate of achievement for having successfully completed the Rhode Island property tax law and administration course. That was dated March 26, 25. So congratulations, Esteban. Right?
Okay. Motion to approve the agenda order. Do I have to change it for anything? No?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Let's see, under the consent agenda, let's see, the special meeting, executive session, the 7th, everybody was here, right?
No, Ray wasn't, not for the executive session.
Oh, Ray wasn't, so keep that one, it's gonna be voted.
Was that number one?
Yeah,
There was somebody, the only one that, everybody that's here tonight is here is on the 8th, June 10th. Otherwise, someone was missing on that.
the only one would be, the first one is Ray, is
So
that the
Ray was absent on the first one, you were absent on the second one, Ray was absent on the third one, Cal was absent on 4 and 5, Olivia was absent 6, and Ray was absent 7, and the 4 of you were here, financial town meeting.
motion to approve the special meeting minutes for June 10th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ray was what, number 1?
Here's number 1 and number 3 and number 7.
1, 3, and 7.
And which one were you, did Cal miss? Which
4
one did I miss?
You missed 2, Cal missed 4 and 5.
Okay. Motion to approve the special meeting executive session for April 7th, 2025. It also includes the special meeting executive session May 6th, 2025, and the regular meeting executive session June 2nd, 2025. Those are the 3 that Ray wasn't here. That's my motion.
Second.
You made the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Abstaining?
Okay. Someone want to make a motion? Ray, make a motion for number 2. I wasn't here. I gotta recuse myself now.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of special meeting dated April 28, 2025.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No, ayes have it. Go ahead.
Okay, now number 6, who was missing the that one?
Olivia.
Olivia.
Okay,
4
so-
and 5, wasn't it? Cal?
Okay, so I'll make a motion, this is you want to please do, to approve the minutes for the special meeting, May 22nd, 2025, And then the special meeting, executive session, May 22nd, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Abstain.
Now, the next one, number 6, we can all vote on. A motion to approve the minutes for the regular meeting, June 2nd, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, communications, do you have any, Cal?
No, I don't.
No, I don't know.
We've got everything, I'm saying.
And I got so no communication. Motion to accept the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Number 6, vacancies and appointments. A, Personnel Board.
No,
Number 2, Building, Planning, and Zoning Clerk. This one here, do we want to go ahead and post for a full-time position on this one? Because it's going to take a couple months to get someone like this.
or are you gonna discuss splitting it?
What's that?
Or are you gonna discuss splitting it up?
We currently have interim,
Yeah.
two, perhaps we should address that.
It's under vacancies, but it's also under executive session.
Oh, okay, all right,
That's-
wait till then, go, yeah. Okay, we'll do that.
Okay.
Resignations, none. Appointments, Exeter Rural Land Preservation Trust Committee members, 3 needed to serve 4-year term beginning date of appointment.
No, you only had that one from the gentleman in New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Sorry, I don't think that needs to be addressed.
So it'll continue to be posts.
Yeah. Board of Tax Assessment Review member to serve 3-year term beginning date of appointment. There's 1 year, is that true?
We do have a
What's
letter
that,
of interest,
Ken
finally. I'll move that we appoint Ken Fernstrom to the Board of Assessment Review.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
No, but thank you for, after months of trying to fill that position.
Oh, you still got 1 too. Another one. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Board of Tax Assessment Review alternate member to serve 3-year term beginning date of appointment.
I'm sorry, no.
We just had the one from Ken. This is an alternate. Weren't you the alternate before?
Yeah, no.
No, I wasn't. No, you were a regular member.
Oh, yeah, very good.
Okay, continue to post.
The alternate member.
Yeah. Number 4, Juvenile Hearing Board member to serve 3-year term beginning date of appointment.
Anybody?
5, Planning Board member to serve 5-year term beginning date of appointment expiring June 30th of 5th year. We have a couple.
I'll make a motion to appoint John Toro as the planning board member, and also to appoint Norman Machon as
Number
the
6.
alternate, number 6, alternate planning board, alternate member.
You do it in separate motions, or can you do it that way?
You do it as one motion.
Do it as one motion, okay. I need a second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Well, I certainly would approve John Toro, but we always had that rule that you had to apply for the position that was open, and Mr. Machon applied for the planning board, and so I can't support the motion as it's presented. And if it's divided, I would move that we reappoint Donna DiGrenato, and then you can all vote no on that.
All in favor of the motion? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, expiring terms, Susan Franco Powell, zoning board of review member, term expires August 3rd, 2025.
Post it.
Okay. Number 7, public hearings. The first one is liquor license application, class F1, special one-day event. Matthew and Kara Richardson, applicants, Tilted Barn, 1 Helmsley Place, Exeter, Rhode Island, Raise the Barn Festival, September 6, 2025. I need motions to open the public hearing.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have to do a motion to act as the Exeter Liquor Board.
Yep, open it, Exeter Liquor Licensing Board.
Motion to open as the Exeter Licensing Board, Liquor Licensing Board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now you should open the public hearing now that you're sitting.
What's that?
You should open the public hearing now that you're
Oh,
sitting as vice.
okay, we have to do it again. Motion to open the public hearing.
So move. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, is Matt here?
No, Brad is here?
I'm here for Tilted Bar.
Oh, come on up. Yeah,
What's that?
come on up.
Okay.
Yeah, come on out, look.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Give your name and that for Lynn for the records.
Is it Brad?
Brad.
Kathleen? A couple of questions.
Yes.
Hold up.
Okay.
Give us a description of what you're doing.
It's an event we've done 3 years in a row. We enjoy bringing people into the brewery, bringing other breweries in from out of town, and this is to help us allow those breweries to pour their beer at our spot.
Was this done last year too?
It's done, yep, last year, year before, and the year before that. Yep.
No, I think it's a good thing, guys.
Yeah, it's a fun event. We should all
Great
come.
place.
Yeah.
Any questions from the public? Okay, that's all we needed.
Thank you so much. See you there.
Oh, one second.
Yes.
There is $65 in advertising fees.
Okay.
Matt can bring it in.
Great.
Send it.
Tomorrow?
Mhm.
Oh,
$65.
all right, we'll be fine. Thank you so much, guys.
Okay, good job. Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now I vote as the Exeter licensing board, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Motion to approve a Class F1 special one-day event liquor license for Matthew and Kara Richardson applicants, Tilted Barn, 1 Helmsley Place, Exeter, Raise the Barn Festival on September 6, 2025.
Second.
Discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Now, a motion to adjourn as the Exeter Liquor Licensing Board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excuse me? Now, no, I don't need a motion for that matter. Okay, next up, item B under public hearing is the continued public hearing on June 2nd, 2025. Proposed amendments to the Exeter Code of Ordinances, Appendix X zoning, overlay districts, groundwater protection and overlay districts, farm overlay district, floating zone, Rhode Island General Law 45-24-31/28. I have to read 30 single windows? Okay. That was my motion to,
Second.
Oops, there we go.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, where are we at, Bill?
Thank you, Mr. President, honorable members of the Exeter Town Council, Dodi Pasquale, Town Planner. What you have in front of you is a revised version of the recommendations from the planning board and the town planner to the town council, and amalgamates pretty much everything that we had gone forward with the town council, meaning the planning board, in terms of their recommendations. And so in front of you, what we did was just kind of cleaned up the section of the ordinance itself, just kind of redirecting the overlay districts into one section. There is one more overlay district that is outstanding in the code ordinances. I would like to, in the future, kind of bring that under one umbrella of overlay districts, but a little too complicated for the presence now. The idea would be that we'd have a new Article 7, and that would be overlay districts. And within the 7, we would have the groundwater protection overlay district, which we have now, and then this new farm overlay district. And as you know, the comprehensive plan that was approved by statewide planning also has the potential for 2 more overlay districts, the reimagining of Route 3 and that area around the Cloverleaf and 95 for some economic development for the town, so that we have a little bit, our portfolios diversified a bit, God forbid anything happens to the tax base in the town. So something that's right-sized to Exeter. So in the future, we're looking at kind of bolstering these overlay districts. Some of the discussion in the last meeting, the public meeting, was kind of in the weeds. It was a difference between a floating overlay district versus a overlay district that has defined boundaries. In this case, the Rhode Island General Law 4524-31-28 would assume that the floating zone is established once it's permitted by the town council and notice is provided. In this case, there's eligibility criteria, and there's also a review by the planning board to the town council with a recommendation for any future land that would be eligible and would want this overlay district. So as you can see in this version, not only do you have additional definitions, you have additional by right uses, conditional uses, and uses that are only approved by the town council. Then you have a procedure, and the procedure is how to establish the floating overlay district, which would be through the town council. It is enumerated, so I'm sure the discussions today, we can go through those specific elements that may be controversial, if you will, if that in fact is the case. That's all I have. Obviously here for this iterative discussion with the public and the town council. Thank you, Mr. President.
Is the applicant here, want to speak?
Good evening, Mr. President, board members. For the applicant, Attorney John Paglerini. Ditto everything that Bill said. I mean, this has been a long labor to get this in front of you. I believe it's been a lot of compromise. We have a couple of minor tweaks, if we could, this evening. If I could draw your attention to line 167. Line 167 addresses events featuring music. We think that the clarification for that is the adding of one word in front of live performance should be outdoor live performance. I'm not sure that there's a concern about having a DJ inside of a building or a structure. I think the concern of the planning board was that sound emanating from a band or a DJ outside was the issue. So the proposed, we would ask that as an amendment this evening, just add the word outdoor in front of live performance. And then there was a discussion at the last meeting regarding the slaughterhouse, and that's line 178, which it's a prohibited use. Based on the discussion that we had at the last hearing and the number of phone calls that we, the applicant, have received subsequent to that from persons that want a commercial slaughtering house, proffer to the council whether or not you should delete it as a prohibited use in line 178 and add it as line 197 under the discretion of the town council. So that if you want to do a commercial slaughtering house, you could do that. Those are our only changes.
Now, when we're saying commercial slaughterhouse, my experience is that most of them are closed. We're not talking Oscar Mayer or Swift, we're talking like 4,500 square foot buildings at the most.
And under 10,000, because that's a trigger point for sprinklers. It's not going to be a 60,000 square foot.
It's more like a regional need. And there was last month, there was a lady here, I never knew that a new one had opened in Dartmouth, Mass. But other than that, these other states, there we go.
Right.
Yeah. So that would be something that town council would have to say on that, to allow it. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Got any questions?
Yeah, let's look at this. I think I have this somewhere, but I can't find it. I'm unfortunately. The thing about the, I don't see it in here, but, so does your client want to put up a tent or a structure, a building, or that, because we went to the wedding in Rhode and had the big buildings for granddaughter married, congratulations. And, yeah, they had a large building, probably could fit 150, maybe 200 people?
300.
300, okay, you know, it's kind of set up like,
Like a barn.
yeah, like a barn, but it's kind of like Rose and Patuxent, they had the thing up top of the open middle.
Got it.
They had anyway, it sort of looked nice, and they had the hors d'oeuvres and underneath the canopies and, you know, and so on and so forth. So, is that what you're gonna propose, or?
The intent is a structure. I don't think it'll be as large as you just described. Larger weddings could be out in a tent, but again, we're capped at, by this ordinance, at 150 people unless we come in front of you, at which point we would probably have a tent for a larger wedding, if that was the case, if we ever wanted to do that. I think that the intent of this is smaller because we know we can be outpositioned by larger venues. I don't foresee us having a structure that can accommodate more than 150 people. And you get to a point where you have to look at the economics of it and say, how many weddings are we gonna have, et cetera. And then you get into the fire code over a certain size. So the fire marshal is really gonna dictate so much of this ordinance on all the structures, because whatever the requirements are for fire code is gonna dictate, you say, okay, at a certain point, sprinklers may be needed, and that becomes impractical. So it's gonna be a smaller size.
Okay.
So more chapel, let's think more chapel than church.
Okay. All right. One thing I want to ask, I've been a member of the Economic Development Task Force, thank you. So how many committees I'm on. But, you know, we wanted to bring some kind of income or tax base in this town. I know if you start, become successful, does the town maybe get a piece of the action? Can we kind of include that? Where, you know, we have a business going on. and-
$2 a head at a wedding.
Well, something we can discuss,
It's really gonna be up to your assessor on how it's valued. I can't answer what they're going to do, but presumably certain structures will be taxable, certain structures may not be, depending on their temporary or permanent, et cetera. You're not gonna tax a tent. You know, so it's really gonna be up to whatever Kerry deems.
I mean, I know it's not just one farm, I don't know how many farms are in, would be involved with 75 acres and over, I don't know how many that number is, but if that becomes an outgoing thing that kind of maybe can add to a tax base.
Sure.
You know, that might be something that we can discuss as a council, is that how that happens?
I think it's gonna be the
If you were
assessor.
doing a building for events, it would be taxed most likely as.
Well, I think it's really up to Kerry. I mean, you also run up against whether or not it's farm related and non-taxable. I think you're speaking of a payment in lieu of taxes,
Something like that, you know?
like we did with
Well,
shop.
they tax barns and everything else, their taxes.
Yeah, there.
That's Kerry, I don't know.
You know,
I mean,
I-
this does not have a payment. in lieu of
I
taxes.
can answer it as a Rhode Island certified
Yeah.
assessor, but I don't wanna speak for your assessor. I would say that to a certain level, there would be some taxation. What that is, I'm gonna leave up to Kerry.
Okay. Thank you. Sir?
Any other questions?
Nope.
I do. I see with your farm to table proposal and the wedding venue. I assume there might be a structure built that's gonna function in both ways. I would guess.
It's possible.
A place for, you know, structure that's gonna house dinners, weddings. I just wonder how frequently, I think it's my other question, and I wanna be sure I understand this. This floating district, anybody else with property is gonna have to come here, plead their case to establish a floating district, am I correct with that?
Under the eligibility criteria in section 7A,
Yeah.
no. Yet they would have to, one, meet the eligibility criteria, have a recommendation from the planning board, and yes, go to the town council and have a public hearing for the overlay district.
Okay, and so the public hearing, I don't see any notice requirement for neighbors, maybe it's here and I didn't find it, but people that are adjacent to this property, for instance, will they be noticed and given an opportunity? I mean, now we're hearing this particular district.
Yeah, so to answer your question through the chair, through the president, is the application would have to come forth, and I always wanna make sure everyone understands this. This is sometimes where we run afoul, is when we write these zoning laws, it's for everyone, it's not the immediate applicant. And many times, if not all the time, we get tied up into what their intent was. Like I wrote down, like, well, it's impractical for them for the construction of a large facility, it may not be impractical for someone else. So when you're looking at this ordinance, make sure it's right sized for the town, so you don't have a third party come in, they may be doing the right thing for 100 years. But they're not gonna be around for another 100 years. And your neighboring property with 75 acres may, through a third party, want to book events all year. And maybe they're not as, local community oriented as this applicant. That's my job to try to protect this, and I implore you, when you look at these, to take a look at that. But to answer your question, yes, there will be a public input, but that is not the point where you can now tell them that, no, you can't do all these, right? All it says is that they're availed to the floating overlay district, but you don't get another shot at the apple. It's gonna be approved by right and conditionally approved. So I don't want people to think that they can just come back later and say, well, you know what, we really don't like the hunting, dog trails, and pick and choose like it's a menu. They're gonna get what they get, as long as they meet the eligibility criteria.
But establishing the floating district becomes the council's issue, and if they choose not to,
Well, you have to have good reason. For instance, if I came in and I met all this eligibility criteria in 7A9, how are you gonna tell me that you're not gonna avail me to the floating overlay district? When we look at it, it's farm size, it's improved frontage on a town or state arterial roadway, it's farmland and agricultural use for 5 consecutive years, and that's it. I mean, you're qualifying under
so it
this.
should have that.
It's gonna be hard pressed for them to pick and choose, and it's purposeful, so that one person doesn't get what's available to
Right,
everyone.
to other people. Well, it's the third party thing that I think that came up last month, if I recall.
Yeah,
And that's just a concern of mine, that going forward, outsiders will say to an owner, and I just think of the example, I'm sorry, Earl, I have to use it as an example of the National Guard that's come in and said, can we use your property to do what we're doing? And it's fine, we proved it, we think it's fine, it's a good activity, but other things might not be like that for the public's consumption. I don't know, I'm just trying to think ahead, I won't be around to experience.
We're trying to
whatever
protect
it
the
is.
town too, so. We're trying to do it, yeah.
I think that was a lot of the give and take with the planning board. But if I may, Bill just said a word that we missed, that we would like one more edit. Line 204, says on a town or state arterial road. I think our intent was to remove the word arterial, and we had a conversation, a collector road would count, so just a town or state road, just to make sure there's frontage, but arterial's a term of art.
So it should stay just on a town or state roadway.
Correct.
What line was that?
204.
That's it.
Any other questions?
I have a comment to make. Ever since I've been in Exeter, I always want to help farmers out. We did pass a change in ordinance for large scale solar arrays to be on zone properties, not on 3 farms I know in Exeter now. So we try to, people say they want to help farmers, but they never really do anything about it. So I'm just want to say how I'm grateful that somebody came up with an idea to use their land like that and preserve what we like in our town, you know, like to preserve farmland and conservation and so on and so forth. So I want to commend you, Errol, and your hard work, and town council here too, that, you know, something's happened on a farm and it's being used in a positive way.
We appreciate that. There's been a lot of effort with the town planner, the planning board, the council. There's a big difference between owning a 75-acre farm and a 75-acre parcel of land. There's a big difference, and that's not a simple distinction. You can be a large landowner and, you know, grow future subdivisions. Farmers make a very intentful decision to not develop their property, and there's a cost to that, and this ordinance helps them. So we appreciate it ourselves.
Okay, thank you.
And lastly, as the applicant who made the initial application, paid for all the advertising and all, subject to the planning board review and eligibility, we'd like the council to deem that the floating district is ours this evening. Thank you.
And I just have another question, that, again, the wedding, an event venue, it doesn't limit, I don't see any limits there. So I would say, once it's established, it can go on a couple of times a weekend. I mean, that's,
Yeah, we had that discussion with the planning board, and that's what they
well, I'm
found.
part of that,
Understood.
so that's why I'm
Yeah,
asking the
Yeah, no,
question.
but that's correct.
Sitting here.
It could be a
thinking
Saturday
about-
and a Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, so many people have commented to me through the years that the quietness and the rural atmosphere here is exactly what they want to see. So I'm asking, wherever this may be, that it could be an ongoing function with traffic and disturbance, and I think there ought to be some kind of a qualification here for that, but I don't see any. So if I read it correctly, please tell me if I'm wrong, Bill. I mean, because I may be not interpreting, maybe there's another section somewhere that would relate to this, but where the others have some 1 per week, for example, for the farm-to-table dinners, which I know they have to be seasonal, I'm guessing, because farm, unless we relate to products grown inside, well, that's another issue. But anyway, that's 1 per week, but this, you know about,
Councilman,
one a month or
I think
something.
I think the discussion with the planning board came down to economics on what is the initial investment to build the structure, and if you only have 1 per month, how do you make it work financially and economically? So that's why that was removed for that particular use.
See, I don't remember, it may have happened, I don't remember the structure discussion last month, but perhaps we had it. I keep thinking not structures, but I also understand to protect farmland, that kind of a structure is better than, what do we say, multifamily homes throughout the property and giving it up. I understand that. Okay, so I'm just suggesting, but I don't guess anyone else thinks that's an issue, so just raise it as just a concern of mine.
Thank you.
I have 2 individuals signed up for public comment. Scott Moore.
Mr.
Mr. President, honorable members of the town council, I want to make it very clear, I strongly support this concept. I feel very strongly that landowners should be allowed to have some reasonable, small-scale businesses to help maintain Exeter's farms and forests. When I was at DEM, I helped to develop state guidance to assist towns to allow reasonable uses for farms and forests, and I advocated with other towns to encourage them to do so. I work with groups such as the American Farmland Trust, farmers, and many other key stakeholders. I also have experience with assisting towns to develop a farm and forest business ordinance, and I've looked at these kinds of ordinances across Rhode Island and many other states. I'd like to say this draft is a big improvement over the May 6th version, but frankly, I still think it needs work. A good ordinance based upon all the ordinances I've looked at over the years, all the people I've talked to, allows landowners to have appropriate businesses without negatively impacting residential neighborhoods and adjacent property owners. That's the key. It's a balancing act. The proposed ordinance allows a long list of very generous use of businesses, but in my opinion falls short with the necessary standards to protect adjacent property owners' rights. It has been my experience that towns that have, who have had a very inclusive public input process as the ordinance is being developed, have had a lot of success in adopting an ordinance that really fits the town's needs. That process didn't happen here. Towns that rushed the process have had problems. I urge the town council not to adopt this ordinance without revisions and feedback from other farm forest landowners and residents of the town. If we're gonna do this, let's do it right. The following are my comments based upon my experience, and I certainly mean no disrespect to the applicant or anyone else who may have worked on this ordinance. The proposed ordinance is limited to parcels 75 acres and greater. And to me, that's a pretty arbitrary number. If the 75-acre threshold were to be challenged in court, I think it would be extremely challenging for Exeter to reasonably defend that size limitation. Frankly, it's going to be very challenging for town council members to defend to their constituents why they voted to give only a small percentage of farmers the right to have these businesses. DEM does not have a size limit to classify a farm, and Exeter has defined a farm as a parcel 5 acres or greater since the town established zoning back in the late 70s. Moreover, 75 acres is unfair to the many other Exeter landowners that should also be allowed to have reasonable business uses. The ordinance should be revised to eliminate the 75-acre limit. The eligibility criteria to generate a minimum of $10,000 per year in gross farm income is a very low bar, and non-farmers, including myself, would be able to meet that standard. The Exeter Comprehensive Plan makes it very clear that small business uses should be made available to both farm and forest landowners. The majority of undeveloped land in Exeter is...
30 seconds.
Excuse me?
All right.
Excuse me?
30 seconds. No, 25 seconds.
I wasn't realize I was under a time clock.
There's no time on it.
There's no
You're
time
not-
clock on
you're
this.
not-
You're
No,
not?
no.
Okay.
Okay. I was hoping the council would be
Oh, I'm
open
sorry.
and receptive to
Aaron.
some,
Excuse me, sir.
but I hope it's constructive feedback.
Mm.
As I was saying, the majority of undeveloped land in Exeter is forest, and those landowners have very few, if no options, to generate any revenue from their property. The proposed ordinance should be revised to include forest landowners as well. The proposed uses are not all defined in the definitions. In my opinion, the overlay is also burdensome for some uses. As I understand it, for example, the same overlay process is used for weddings that would be used if someone simply wants to have retail sales on their farm. Weddings clearly justify a thorough review, but just selling of farm products does not. The latter could be allowed by right with just some reasonable standards specified in the ordinance. The proposed uses that have the greatest potential to create conflicts are weddings and banquets. I've seen this throughout Rhode Island and other states. I'm very concerned about attendees drinking and then driving on what could be very dark, unfamiliar rural roads. If this use and other intensive uses are going to be allowed, then the town council should also require an annual license that can stipulate hours of operation and very site-specific standards. This license would also require a public hearing. A good example that other towns have had to try to mitigate traffic and drunk driving is they actually require all guests that are going to attend weddings and banquets where there's, let's be honest, there's going to be drinking, that the venue has to provide reasonable transportation that minimizes people getting lost driving around Exeter's town roads and on the way out being drunk. So you're getting all of that traffic and potential drunk drivers out of our town and on a reasonable transportation vehicle that the venue would need to provide. That has worked really well to try to mitigate that problem. All new business uses in Exeter are subject to standards, limitations, and a comprehensive review by the planning board for compliance. This proposed ordinance will allow some potentially very large-scale new business uses by right in a residential zone with no planning board review. That has the potential to create problems for abutting landowners. The draft ordinance does propose some vague standards, such as sufficient parking must be provided and minimize any inconvenience to abutting properties. Those are not clear or enforceable standards. Moreover, it states traffic details deemed necessary by the administrative officer, but with all due respect to Bill, he's not a traffic engineer, has no specific expertise or even the time to do this task, and even if Bill currently did, Bill may not be, isn't going to be in Exeter forever. Subsequent administrative officers may have absolutely no expertise to perform that task. So the proposed standards need to be made more clear and absolutely must be enforceable. As you may know, Exeter has already drafted an ordinance that would address some of these concerns. This ordinance was developed with input from an advisory group appointed by the Exeter Town Council, as well as the Exeter Planning Board and Town Planner at the time. A similar ordinance was adopted by the town of Gloucester over 7 years ago. It seems to me that that ordinance could be used as a starting point to improve the proposed farm overlay district to make both farm and forest landowners eligible and with reasonable parcel size limits. Thank you so much for the opportunity to comment.
Okay. Next is Lisa Davis.
Mason Davis, 146 Beechwood Hill Trail. First for the groundwater overlay, I still think the town needs to fix the residential, single-family being prohibited use in the groundwater overlay. This is the biggest mistake that came out of all the zoning changes that passed a few months ago. I also think you should go back and look at using the groundwater overlay district, making town garages a permitted use. We have enough history with the DEM and water contamination to know that it's a bad and expensive idea. That needs to go back to special use. Regarding this farm ordinance, I agree with Mr. Millar on part of it. I do think the 75 acres is a mistake. It might be a better idea if the concern is disruption to neighboring properties to instead not make it based on acreage, but make it based on setback distance from where the activity is taking place. That would probably alleviate a lot more of the noise and disturbance concerns. I also take issue with the restrictions on operation time and income levels, which are in 7A 9D for eligibility. This is still restraint of trade. It stifles competitions and that benefits existing large high-income farms at the expense of newer or lower-income farmers or that haven't been established very long. these restrictions should be removed. If you don't allow some of those forest owners to consider this kind of thing, then the next best alternative does become multi-unit housing. Thank you.
Any other discussion from the council?
So that 75 acres, where did that number come from? That came from, down from the planning board?
Didn't come from me.
It didn't come from you.
No.
So, yeah, so, that was one of the questions I was gonna ask, so, glad that was brought up, so.
I think that's further away, and so you're not that near neighbors or following neighbors.
Right. So that would, if they have the 75 acres within that, that'll allow for the set, the proper setback.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I know, I see some numbers, I just wanna know where they came from, how they came to arrive at that, that's all.
And may I speak here? It seems to me that size could be an issue, as it's suggested by a couple of these folks. And I guess my question now is gonna be to Bill, sorry, Bill.
Not my
But,
witness.
are you, have you heard anything here that makes you think perhaps some of this could be revisited?
I got 5 pages of memo with my concerns, and they're very clear and they're in the public record. This is an application from an applicant, okay? And everyone had fair notice about what the concerns of the planning board and the town planner are. We all can agree that we wanna support that I may go about pursuing ordinances in a different way, maybe having a bit more, feedback and discussion with the community, taking a look at some of the standards or some of the eligibility and seeing if I can get some support as to what the methodology is. But we have an application in front of you, and we did the best we could as a planning board to try to tweak this to have it somewhat acceptable. The applicant, to his defense, didn't understood that anyone with a 2-acre farm, whatever that is, couldn't be obliged of this. And I think and I'm not gonna speak for the applicant, but I think it was more to protect the ideal that if this didn't work, it will be limited to 75 acres, which is probably a typical operational size of a farm. Did they, and that was their application, and I can't fault them for that. Whether it should be 50 or 75, I don't know. Should it be constrained with distance instead, which would in fact have a nexus with how much area, possibly? Like for instance, it's say no area subject to an event shall be closer than 1,500 feet, whatever that is. Remember, that is not a panacea either. Because my largest complaints on our solar fields with glare has been for miles away, including the applicant. So pure distance is not necessarily a panacea for removing nuisance, because you have topography considerations and a whole host of ideas. So is there a perfect solution? I don't know. Probably the way to do it would be to inventory all farms and operational farms within the Exeter, North Kingston area, and you could probably come to some kind of average of what these operational farms were. That's what we did with Schottner. But that's my interpretation of how we got here from my point of view. And the applicant's here, so I'm sure they can defend what that eligibility criteria was seeking to address.
Can I ask a question? Can you explain to me, I understand this is an ordinance that's being proposed, but the word keeps coming up, applicant. This isn't gonna give him the right when he leaves here to do this, right? He's gonna have to come back and apply, and the butters are gonna have to be notified
Yes.
within
Yes.
1,000 feet,
Yeah.
right? This is just to get the ordinance on.
Yes, it's a floating zone, so they would have to apply
Then they
for whatever
apply.
they're doing.
I do like Bill's comment about seeing about other farms and the farmland and so on, and maybe giving it a little more consideration than just 75 acres. And see how that works out. There are some flaws there that I could hear that I think needs a little more attention, in my opinion. Thank you.
Any other discussions?
You
Go right ahead.
Rob Curry, I'm on the planning board. Bill, one thing
might want to elaborate on our discussion on the frequency of events. We were concerned, we started with one a month and maybe one a week. One of the concerns on the planning board, if you're a neighbor to one of these places on a rural road, you want a wedding Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday afternoon, and maybe on a Monday holiday. So that's why we were trying to put some type of limit on numbers. We get it, that if you're gonna build a 4,500 square foot wedding venue with post and beam, I think you had mentioned at the meeting, yes, that's a big expense. And you wanna have a certain number of events to pay for that. But we're also trying to be cognizant of the neighbors around that event, how much they want to endure in terms of traffic for weddings every 3-4 nights a week. So if you want to elaborate on that, Bill?
Yeah, no, I think you said perfectly, because theoretically, the way this is, you could have a banquet or an event of 150 people every day of the week. So I think the planning board really worked hard at trying to understand, can we put belts and suspenders on this? If it's so good and everything works out wild, it was gonna go back to the council. So right now, there isn't a limit. So I know Callie brought this up earlier. So you can literally have a 150-person event every day of the week. And so obviously, we have concerns. I mean, the concerns of rural roadways, all the concerns that I think the former chairman brought up, they're real concerns. So, I mean, we talked about the limit, but there is a cost associated with that. Is there a break even? Can it just be weekends? Is there a limit? These are some of the things that I think the town council could look at.
One more time, Mr. Davis.
Question based on what Pat mentioned and what Bill mentioned, is it, if the applicants all have to come before the council, or I'm sorry, before the planning board again anyway to get their permit, could those restrictions, those frequency restrictions be driven into the planning board approval at that stage individually? Or is that a problem with equal application?
Can you repeat that again? Can you please stand up? Because
Sure.
I'm having trouble trying to hear you.
So based on what Pat asked and what Bill mentioned about the frequency of events, is it possible if an applicant is coming before the planning board again anyway to get their individual permit, can frequency restrictions be built into that permit, just like restrictions go into regular special use permits?
I think it's a wonderful question. I know we have a solicitor here. I think you'd have to increase in the eligibility, add something that trumps this section, the limited use section. They'd say, or otherwise as approved by the town council. Maybe that's some kind of language that could be done.
Yeah, I think that's right. You would have an issue with, in the current version of this, there's no ability really for the council to place those sorts of limitations on. So if you tried to, it just wouldn't be legal. There would need to be some objective criteria that applies to everybody. It can't just be somebody came in, put in an application, we decided that, we rolled the dice and they only get to do it 2 days a week, and this one gets to do it 4 days a week. You can't do that because you're gonna have some legal problems. So the current version of this doesn't include anything like that.
Correct.
Okay, you did that one here.
So the problem that you'd have there is you need to have some objective basis for it. It can't just be limitless discretion on the part of the council. Well, so you could either leave it the way that it is, you could tinker with the numbers. I think there was also a suggestion to consider, distance requirements as far as setbacks. I think in the current version of this, and Bill can speak to this, if you had a 75-acre farm, you could put your wedding venue on your neighbor's boundary line, and that would be permitted under this ordinance. Subject, of course, to, zoning as well. But certainly not in the middle of 75 acres, would not be a requirement.
So maybe the addition could be a minimum setback distance. And that's very, very routine, very common, I should say. And the special use permit criteria that we're looking at with objective criteria that in no case shall the event space and parking be closer than you get a distance. I don't know what that distance is.
Where would you put that in this ordinance?
I think you'd have to put it in the,
Well, it also might be different depending on each of the individual by right uses. I don't know that you would want the same, I think that might be something that doesn't happen kind of on the fly, put it that way. I think that would require a little bit of,
At least for the limited uses in 7A6.
Can some kind of umbrella statement be made that there's a discretion?
No.
No, okay.
because that puts you in a position where.
Being, I understand, yeah,
Picking and choosing.
yeah, picking and choosing, right, okay.
Yeah, like the wedding venue might be different than a car show, for example, as far as setbacks.
Well, I think if you look at 7A6, you can kind of go through those. The events featuring music would be one, farm to table dinner. I don't know how crazy that is. Holiday attraction, that's definitely one. Hunting, working dog trials, training, limited size event. Don't know much about that. Multiple day tournaments, I would say that would apply. Sporting events certainly apply, like a boulder dash type of thing. So for most of those events, if not all of them, you could maybe say, pursuant to 7A6, in no case shall the event, shall the listing, be closer than X number of feet from a property line. I don't know what that is, I don't know what that number looks like, but that theoretically could work.
On 171, you have to be 500 foot from an occupied dwelling when you're hunting.
Do we have 500?
That's state law, 500.
Yeah.
So,
But that would just follow in state law.
I mean, how do you,
Where would you put that?
Well, you would put that under
Under section 7.
eligibility, like the town, no, it would have to be, under the limited uses.
Yeah, you could include it in that section.
Let's say something like eligibility, no, I wouldn't do eligibility, that's just because you could be eligible and never do a limited use, right? So it would have to come under the actuation of the limited use, which there is a process. So 7A10, farm overlay district, floating zone, and limited use application. No, not really, well, that's just
I mean, you could put it right in at the start of 7A6 and say the
Yeah.
following uses shall be available subject to X condition.
Right.
And then have the lead agency following that.
Mr. President, if I may, because I work with a lot of towns on this, the big issues in order of priority that people have expressed concerns about are noise, and there is no noise standard in this proposal. Traffic, and in my opinion, the traffic needs to be worked on, and some kind of screening. People, depending on the use. If it's a farm stand, certainly nobody wants it screened. But if it's a big wedding venue or a slaughterhouse, then obviously you have to have appropriate screening. So it's not necessarily size, it's complying with those criteria. And I thought that was a better way of doing it, because no matter what size parcel you work with, some people may not be able to comply with those standards. So if you make the standards clear, then if you can comply with those standards, you can have that particular use. And obviously, the standards would be greater for a wedding venue than they certainly would be for retail sales, a farm stand. And that's the way a lot of towns have approached this.
what's your thought, Bill?
Well, you would have to do an objective standard. I mean, you can lean to your noise ordinance, which is already in the ordinance. You can create a whole new one. You ain't gonna do that.
No.
Traffic, you have to have objective. You have to do like a level of service interpretation.
No, I'm sitting here when we were talking about the distance from a lot.
Oh, distance.
Yeah.
That seems to be a.
Yeah, I mean,
Limited uses, where it says wedding venue limited to no greater than 150 people. And what RU4
So
is,
limited uses.
RU4 is 150 foot setback from the front, or 100?
100 or 100.
are you for?
Yeah, 100.
100, yeah.
And then it's 80 on the side setback.
Yeah, but this is gonna have to be, I mean, this would have to be, you know, substantially, you know, larger in terms, because what you're trying to do, you're inversely trying to mitigate the screening concern and the noise concern by distance, which is not necessarily, like I said before, it's not necessarily correlated. But it's better than nothing if you're not going to look at each individual one and provide objective criteria like we're doing with special use permit. So it'd have to be significant, like hundreds of feet. It'd have to be really
Big parcel of land.
Yeah, but if you have
It's a
75, if you
floating
have
zone.
75 acres,
Yeah.
it could be a long skinny piece. You know, it could be, you know, so, I mean, the only, I'll go back to my legal counsel there, is that if you had a standard of, in no case shall the event space, including parking, be any closer than, you know, 500 feet from the boundary, could you then give the town council under specific circumstances relative to that parcel, like a hardship, that they could be less?
Yeah, to offer
Speaking of the
something,
narrowness of,
yeah, to offer something like a variance,
like
like
a
you would.
variance kind of.
Yeah, I think there's probably a way to structure it.
Okay.
I have to give some thought to exactly how to structure it. And whether the council should do it, or if it should be something that goes through like the zoning board or something like that.
Oh, I
I'd have
see.
to- I'd have to give some thought to
Right.
to this, to the sort of nuts and bolts. But I think there's probably a way to accomplish that. And one thing that's important to remember with this also is, once somebody establishes something, under whatever guidelines exist, that's it, game's over
Game's over.
for that parcel for all time, as long as they continue doing it. So, it is important to not swing the wrong way, off the bat.
Correct.
Is this a restriction on farm stands? Would that make a restriction on farm stands from what you?
I know, under the zoning, what are you allowed,
No, no.
200 square foot?
Just
That doesn't change
Under
it here,
400,
does it?
so all we're talking about here is the limited uses. You have prohibitions, and then you have by right
No.
uses.
Farm.
So they're only talking about this 7A6, which is events featuring music, farm-to-table dinners, holiday attractions, hunting, working dog trials,
And that's.
multiple day tournaments, like a boulder dash, like a squash tournament, weddings and events.
So when you say farm stands,
No,
what?
they're in
No.
the,
That's
they're
not-
they're allowed.
They're allowed.
They're
Their
allowed.
list
They're
of
allowed
what?
what?
They're allowed.
They're allowed.
Anywhere,
By right.
Yes.
anywhere.
But they're only 600 square feet.
That's okay, I just wanna know if they're allowed.
Would I suggest that we continue and take the recommendations, suggestions we've heard, and continue this for a month, and then review what you've put into it too? Unless you wanna continue to work on it here tonight, I just wonder if
Continue
you
working
need-
on it tonight. And, so the big stick is
A
setbacks.
setback, which we could put.
And it's a
in
floating
setback.
zone, so different properties, it's a floating zone, so anybody that wants to do it has to come.
Ace has a question.
Sorry to comment. So two things. First, agricultural is commercial by definition in the state statute. So it's not a surprise that people with farms are able to sell their products, and this is a great way to do it. But building on the thing about the setbacks, with the narrow sections of land and things like that, maybe the language to use is something that says, depending on whether the abutter who would be affected approves it or not. Because some people will care, other people won't. If you, in my case, I probably wouldn't care much if somebody was having an event nearby. That might be a way to give the landowner the flexibility to do the events in the places where it does make sense and it doesn't bother other people.
I don't think that they're mutually exclusive. Like, for instance, there could be a mechanism in which if you had the minimum, you have to have it for everyone, so you don't pick and choose. Say it's 1,000 feet, right? I'm just picking that number. If there was a variance and there was a public hearing, then you would come up and say, you know what, he wants only 500 feet. I, as a neighbor, don't have a problem with it, and you'd have to prove cause. Well, it's because my lot is long and narrow, so I have particular circumstances that are present here that I couldn't meet the 1,000. and then you would show up and you'd say, hey, listen, I'm against it, I'm for it. But I think there's a way to do it, I just don't know what the number is. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
500 or 1,000.
So the question that begs is if it's during the permit process itself where the person's getting the special use variance anyway, what happens if a new neighbor comes in and now they do have a problem and that land
Well-
changes ownership? I think it should be tied more to the event. If it's a setback relief or something like that, I think it would be better to have it tied to the event, not necessarily the permit.
That would require a new
Yeah.
permit for every event.
Every event, and that's what they were trying to get away from.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
So they were trying to get away from that idea. Now, there's still a permit and section, you still, for certain businesses and desires, you still have to go to the council. But I think the idea was, they can build a calendar all year with events that can fund the farm, so long as everyone's treated the same. How that would, the process would be, that would be taken up by the town council as part of the floating zone, as a mechanical part of the floating zone, that an area is dedicated for the use for this event space. And it shall be no greater than, no less than 1,000 feet. They'd say, okay, give me my floating zone, but I only want 500. Once that's given, that stays on that property forever. So that is where it would go. Now, I know Ken's probably, and me in my mind, saying, I don't know if the town council is actually the one to do it, but it's not a special use permit. I don't know if it's a zoning board, it's a town council. But I think the town council probably could do it. There's probably some case law there that allows that, because you're considering the floating zone, so long as the information in the floating zone itself gave that, variability to them under criteria that they have to show that there's an unusual circumstance here. There's a big, huge wetland in the middle. The lot configuration, I have 75 acres, but the lot configuration doesn't allow me to have 1,000. Then I think the town council is probably okay in the floating zone to say, in this case, it's less than 1,000, it's 500. The question I have is, what is a distance? What is a distance that could reasonably be used as, what it essentially is, a mitigating device for noise and screening? And again, pure distance is not necessarily that case, but it's better than nothing. If you don't want to scrap the whole thing and start over, it's better than nothing.
500 feet for hunting and working
That's
dogs
state
is
law.
state law, so would 500
Well, you think, like you
Yeah, some-
said, it doesn't work for every
Right.
lot. Limited use.
If the methodology is 500 for hunting, my guess is there's some kind of reason why, again.
Oh,
that-
Occupied
noise.
structure, because you're hunting with shotguns.
Right,
Can I ask another question?
Go ahead, Patty.
Every time something's planned on, say this site that's got 75 acres, and they have a big wedding venue, and they can have a slaughterhouse also, is that correct? If they had,
I have it prohibited, but it sounds
No.
like that might go in. By
but they
council.
could have a wedding venue, a possible slaughterhouse, all on the same property. But does this plan have to come before town council, like you said, a blanket for the year, like they have to show that they're booked for 200 weddings or whatever?
No, you apply for the floating zone. Once the floating zone is approved, if it is approved, after everyone within 1,000 feet are, noticed, and they come, they have a public hearing, you're availed everything in here. You don't have to use it all. You can only use the by right
Really? So you
places.
could have a wedding Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday?
Yes, you could.
And
Going
what
into this,
happens
you
to,
can do it.
what happens to our police and fire and rescue? The wedding, as Ray spoke about, the wedding venue we were at, they're booked. And let me tell you, they're booked night, day after day. You have to be out of there and someone be clean and so on, because the next wedding venue is coming in, the next wedding's coming in. So what happens to our police, fire and rescue? Do we have volunteers?
in here, that was just so many weddings. So many.
I think, if I may, I think Pat's point, and something I was intending to speak to, I don't think this town is equipped to deal with what volume that might ensue. It might ensue, not necessarily it's in the plan, but
Side setback.
Once the door is open,
80 feet.
as we've said, really can't be shut. That was my concern about you.
Well, go to paid police, fire, and rescue.
Some language change.
I've got something here, under limited uses, we're talking about setbacks. Limited use activities shall be a minimum of 200 foot from the frontage. Side setback should be 150, rear setback should be 150. That's basically, you doubled all the RU4 setbacks. I think rear's 50 on RU4, isn't it, Bill?
Are you for?
Yeah. I know side setback's 80, front's 100.
Yeah.
I think the rear's 50.
No, there's like 100.
No.
200 front.
So do the
150
two, rear 200? You want to do 200 for all three? That do, so.
I just don't know what that number is. I don't know what it does. I don't know, like, what 200 does. I hear 500 for the working, I mean, for shooting and things like that. You have hunting, working dog trials. Is 500 feet from your neighbor something that you could live with on an event, knowing that, you know, these are pretty intense uses. And just because it's in our zoning ordinance doesn't mean the setbacks that we have are appropriate for, say, a large-scale banquet or event.
Well, that's what I'm doing now, I'm just doubling them. Limited uses shall have a minimum setback of 200 foot from the frontage, on your frontage. Side setback shall be 200, the rear setback shall be 200. We've just doubled what's under the existing ordinance. Because like you said, I'm thinking certain parcels of land, 50 acre piece, it's dead in the middle.
I would go greater than 200, that's my gut feeling.
We've doubled what's under the existing setbacks in the zoning matrix.
Right, I understand that. I mean,
Because like you said, it's not one number doesn't fit every lot, is the problem. But you got a floating zone, so each one you will be able to look at.
now, we have to add additional language in
Yeah.
eligibility tonight, and you'd have to, whatever that number is,
Yeah.
include the number and then give some flexibility for extreme circumstances that they can prove to the council that they couldn't meet. You know, I would probably be more, you know, on the 500 to, you know, something greater than that setback. Don't forget, this is parking, this is event space. If you have a 75-acre piece of parcel, you should be able to get that 500 feet, and if you can't, you still have the ability to tell the town council why one of the four doesn't match. So if I can meet 500, 500, 500, but I can't meet it here. And that would give some kind of box. We use it in planning terms, when we do zoning, we have a buildable envelope. So this would be like an event envelope. And you try to keep all those events as close to the, you know, center as you can and far from the property lines. I just don't know that 200 could do it. I mean, maybe the applicant could probably.
Mr. President, we have no objection to 500 feet. That's reasonable
On all three,
on all sides.
Yeah, if that's,
and then put language in there.
then we can work on language that they could for.
Yeah, we would have to either work that out right now before you vote, or we'd have to come back and for the future, but.
I think you probably could just do eligibility,
Yes, do it.
you know, town council presented with, you know, specific, facts.
You want to take a 5-minute break while you write that?
That's a great idea.
Okay, I'm gonna call for a 10-minute recess while legal counsel and Bill write the right language.
So that no, yeah.
Second, that motion?
Second.
All in favor?
I like it.
Use the same.
Just the zone, like you would need for zone variance for septic.
Can I see one there? Yeah, you want this, you said I had a couple oil tanks, you want that? Oh, it's, okay. There's two tanks on the left, there's two yellow trucks. You want two oil tanks?
That's he was president for, just,
Probably a 15-foot parcel all the way around.
It's,
all the stuff is all. You should be. You're
we're trying to get an F-16 flyover next year. No. They took a 10-minute recess. Hey, where's my car?
I'm here officially. I'm official.
But there's the public hearing here is the taxpayers.
No, I'm not here.
Yeah, but as a public,
I mean, you know, you're gonna have
you're
somebody,
officially here for something later.
first of all, that
So you can drink before and after, not during.
say, look, here's the deal. I thought you were saying, he was in Jersey yet?
And I own property. That's 325. Our original application was for multiple parcels.
Sandy's side?
And then we got it.
So when you say when you get that, you say,
Yeah, I got it. I had a shell.
And that's why we're exactly. He sits on his bottom right out in the school.
said he had no idea.
Yeah, he did.
My son, where it sits,
For the draft.
I took him to South
Yeah, this was
He's like 3 generations.
So you can just
She likes
I don't know what that
very bad.
I think they're 9.
She holds the flash drive, get out of the areas,
There is no 1 point. I don't know who he is, but he has. I went to work, see where this man was, where he lived. And it's on Shermantown Road, where Concord Hill Road comes in. Not a big piece of property, apparently, but a nice little well, it's very big. I mean, there's loads of stuff, there's all kinds of. It's not built like. Functional. Basement that's huge, another room that's huge, another place that's like, almost Windsor room. Whatever. And I don't know where he's going. I know he's doing a lot of work. So, but he has ex-wife and kids in Peacedale, Wakefield, somewhere that he used to have.
No, I haven't seen it. A lot of people ask me.
That's all changed. Oh, I mean, so he was working for the building? Yeah, I wanted $2.1 million. That was ridiculous. So now it's 1.3.
And he did a lot of the work. He did a lot of updating stuff.
I don't see that. That's why I suggested.
Thursday night. Anyway, yeah. And then I put
You still see Michelle? You don't see Michelle anymore? She went by yeah. You don't see her. I should have heard about
He's got one more week, like an
Motion to re-adjourn?
re-adjourn.
Whatever. She'll write down the right word.
I think it's reconvened. That's all right.
So you understand.
The two attorneys and Bill have it all straightened out.
Good.
So,
Good.
So, we've got the sticking point done. I think that's it. Is there any more comments from the council?
I have counsel, for the people, what do you, how do you view a slaughterhouse?
I can't wait to see somebody have a reception at a slaughterhouse.
Yeah, so,
I'm gonna make a motion to move it to that section that it requires town council.
so approval, oh, thank you, all right, thank you.
I'm gonna do that one and the one about the outdoor performances.
Okay,
The language that they've come up with, I'm gonna let Ken read that.
Okay.
'Cause-
Wait, could we just hear from the planning board
A
now?
couple points. You mentioned the slaughterhouse. I was gonna ask if you officially adopted the recommendation by the applicant that you do move it from prohibitive to.
That's what we're gonna do, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I would suggest you give yourself guardrails on that in terms of size, because, you know, if someone comes in with a 10,000-foot building, you might say, okay, but what's preventing someone to come in for a 50,000 square foot building? I mean,
Well, that's where it would
you
be,
should
town-
really
it would
put
be town council.
right.
So yes, but you wouldn't be able to just arbitrarily say, oh, we actually want numbers. What you could do, if you're concerned about size and there's a square footage number that you can reasonably put on it, what you could do is have under prohibited, commercial slaughterhouses above 10,001 square feet. And then in whatever other section, under 10,000 square feet or something like that.
Can we end this?
Yeah.
We've been here for an hour and a half.
Yeah. I'm gonna,
We're almost done.
yeah. I'm gonna make,
patient now,
I'm gonna make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
Dan, I want to have one more point. If you don't mind. One more point. if I
Real
may.
quick.
Okay, we differentiated between farm stand and farm store. Our feeling was you can have a farm store venue size, and originally we weren't talking about a venue that large, we were like looking at 2,000 square feet. So I want to make sure it's clear, yes, that farm stand up near the road is limited in size, but if someone wants to put, with proper setbacks and all proper approvals, a farm store with a farm cafe, they can do that.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I'm gonna make a motion to approve the proposed amendment to the Exeter Code of Ordinances for the Farm Overlay District, which covers section 7A, all the way through 7A12. I have two amendments here that was discussed, on line number 167 in section 7A6. Item A, events featuring Live performances are limited to non-amplified acoustic act only must take place. We're gonna cross that word out. Events featuring music, outdoor performances are limited to non-amplified acoustic act only must take place between 11 a.m. and 8 p.m. Under prohibitions, section 7A.7, line number 178, commercial slaughterhouse, we're gonna move that to line number 197, which is section 7A.8, which requires town council approval. So any commercial slaughterhouse would have to go to the council. And then I'm gonna have Ken here read their language for the setbacks and the variances, which is gonna be part of the same motion.
So under section 7A6 on line 166 at the end of what's existing there, it'll say, in no event shall any of the following limited uses take place within 500 feet of the front, rear, or side yard setback of the parcel, which may be comprised of multiple lots in common ownership defined by the applicant. And in section 7A8, it'll add subsection G, I'm sorry, 7A9, adding subsection G, notwithstanding the minimum setback required by section 7A6, the town council may grant a variance of the minimum setback required by this chapter, utilizing the criteria stated in GL 1956 45-24-41 as amended for dimensional variances.
You have a mistake.
That's the motion.
You have a mistake. You have a
I'll
mistake
second.
in the language.
Go.
You have a mistake in the language that the solicitor just read. Line 176, if you say following limited uses, after the limited uses, it should say preceding limited uses.
So, what now?
If you're adding in line 176, the following limited uses, all the limiting uses are
The
precede that.
166.
You're adding it at
Yeah,
166.
166,
Okay.
7A6.
Thank you.
I don't think so. It's going in line 166,
Oh,
section
so,
7A6.
204, we were striking out arterial.
So we need to amend the motion to also state that we are striking out arterial on line number 204. Now it's done.
Is there a motion to amend that?
Motion to amend
I'll second that.
So if you want to vote on the amendment to amend the motion.
the, this is a vote on the amendment to amend the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now we're gonna vote on the motion with all that language. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, that's done.
I'm sorry. Earl, $821.25 in ad.
You want it out?
Sure,
Cash.
sure. Cash is king.
Seriously, you need it out?
No.
Tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock.
Cash. Moving right along. Now you use your stopwatch.
Thank you, Ned.
Public comment, and we only have one individual here, Asa Davis.
Tell me when you're ready.
I
Yes.
Thank you,
Ready, Asa?
Yep.
Action.
I reviewed the 742 well file at DOH. It was 2 inches thick and it details a sporadic recurring coliform contamination problem. This aligns with sporadic agricultural runoff from the barn on the uphill side, maybe dating back decades, which during rainy season runs a few feet from the well. DOH has the well classified as non-pressurized, non-working, and not being sampled. Doesn't sound like everything is fine to me. Dan's name is on the violation return receipts, and the DOH says they're in communications with the town on this. There are plenty of ways to fix this properly and permanently. Drilling a new illegal well and filing fake DOH paperwork isn't one of them. DOH knew about that, by the way, a long time before I figured it out. On your legal agenda, OM 2525 is interesting. The 25K or so extra the council gave Matt's check when he resigned wasn't done legally, which means it was misappropriated. That violates state statute and town charter, and you know what that means for ethics. In theory, somebody could sue on behalf of the taxpayers for recovery of the funds. I look forward to seeing how you resolve that. Thank you. And be it.
1 minute, 19
All
seconds.
right.
Very good.
Moving right along, number 9, new business, A, solicitor's license application, William Orban, 18 Happy Valley Road, Westerly, Rhode Island, on behalf of Trinity Solar.
The applicants met all requirements.
How's that here?
No.
Anybody want to do anything with it? I would continue until next month when you can appeal this.
Yeah, I'd like to have him here.
Yeah, I would like him to
So-
explain to us, so I'll make a motion to continue to August.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Juvenile Hearing Board, request to dissolve or pursue hybrid board with West Greenwich Juvenile Hearing Board. There was some language going back and forth on that one.
Yeah, so, I don't know, is Mr. Baker?
Yeah, Ed Baker,
I don't know
he's
if
the
he's-
chair.
Yep, Wendy Fender Albin and Ed Baker here on behalf of the Juvenile Hearing Board.
So I would,
Oh, come on up, explain to
Yeah,
us.
please come up. Come on.
Well, we have two issues at hand. One is that we're getting no referrals and haven't had referrals in 5 years. The other issue is that the new major in West Greenwich is claiming jurisdiction over all juvenile matters that arising from the high school because it's located in West Greenwich. Yours is the first time I've heard of any sort of language that's contrary to the major's claim of jurisdiction. Juvenile hearing boards are formed to give kids a second chance for bad behavior or poor judgment.
Misdemeanors.
Say again, please?
Misdemeanors.
Misdemeanors, thank you.
And it arose, it's been rumored to arise from Barrington families or parents that wanted to protect their kids from arrests long ago in the 70s when arrests were more common among young people and it tarnished their futures. So we have the two issues. Jurisdictional, we don't get any referrals other than the high school. We get none from the state police. And then the other is the simple matter of no referrals from the high school. We don't know what that is. We can't assume that Exeter youth are all suddenly angels. So we're making the board aware of that. We were sort of confronted with a recommendation of either dissolving the board, which doesn't seem like an option, or creating a hybrid board. I know West Greenwich is also having difficulty filling their board. That would require something at the state level. If we are going to insist that the Exeter youth from the Exeter West Greenwich High School be heard here, we're gonna need something of a memorandum of understanding with the major. We don't have a police department, they have a police department, and they have sort of classic
So what is he
jurisdiction.
doing? He's not, is he sending them to the juvenile board over there, or just?
That's correct, but I provided some documents to show that essentially West Greenwich and Exeter are sort of neck and neck with the number of referrals they're getting over the years. So it actually stands to reason that we have a regional high school. We should perhaps have a regional juvenile hearing board and petition the state for that. It might be easier to fill that board. It's from the same pool.
That's your.
Trying to make you guys aware of this.
Your recommendation is to do the hybrid probably?
Do the hybrid.
Yeah, well, I mean, I heard earlier that we haven't filled a position from one of our members that stepped down. West Greenwich also has a hard time filling their board. It stands to reason that if we had a 50-50 arrangement, with a clause that said that we can revert to full town boards if the situation calls for it.
Yeah.
What is it, state legislation that has to be changed?
Yeah, so both towns, I think every town has a public law that's been enacted. Most of them are not codified, so they're a little hard to track down, but both Exeter and West Greenwich have acts of the General Assembly that permit, but do not require, the town councils to create.
From 2002.
Yeah, that's West Greenwich's, is that right? Or is
That's
that-
ours.
That's Exeter's, okay. Oh, yeah, the West Greenwich one I think is a little older.
Yeah.
But the language in the Exeter one is actually a little bit broader as far as its jurisdictional power. It's not as clearly limited to people who live in the town.
Yeah.
West Greenwich's is very clearly limited to people who live in the town.
Yeah.
Now, the problem, and I think one area where I read the letter from the Major this afternoon, and I think he's correct insofar as it's also designed in such a way that the department is only supposed to make referrals to their board. So Exeter and West Greenwich are both kind of in this weird position.
Sure.
Where it's kind of, the system isn't really designed for this. It really just isn't made to handle this very well.
Yeah.
So he might be correct that he can't make referrals to Exeter.
Oh, he can, I think, he can, and it's at his discretion, and historically they did, so that's an important point.
Well, so I guess-
When we had a different major in there and a different school resource officer, they were coming to Exeter.
Well, I guess the question in my mind is, just because that's how it was done doesn't necessarily mean that that's like
Sure.
really correct. And I think there might be an argument, I think there is an argument that the West Greenwich Police Department is only supposed to make referrals to the West Greenwich Juvenile Hearing, well, yeah, the Juvenile Hearing Board. And because of that, I can see there's a little bit of friction kind of in the sort of jurisdictional element of this. Whereas if the General Assembly were to pass a law that allowed the towns to make one board, which also has the side benefit of every student at the school has the same process, the same people, the same decision makers, as opposed to having different outcomes in different towns, depending on which side you get bussed in from, might be a sensible thing, but that would require something beyond what the town council can do.
I know next door, Cherry House, 3 towns, right? They all have their own juvenile hearing board.
Yeah.
And it sits in Richmond. So I'm not sure how those resource officers from Richmond.
And also, as a thought exercise, just, I mean, the high school, I looked on Google Maps, is only 2,000 feet into West Greenwich. Just as a thought exercise, imagine that the high school straddles the town border. The way he's saying it, we would, if, depending on what side of the school the kid got busted on, is where they would get referred. It doesn't make sense to do it that way. The initial intent of the Juvenile Hearing Board is for the community to look after their own kids. That's
Jurisdiction
the
on some
sort
of
of
this
philosophical.
Jurisdiction on some things like this can be a little weird. If you're on the line between, Kent County and Providence County, if you, commit a crime on one side of that line or the other side of the line, you're going to a different courthouse or getting a different judge.
Right.
So there is,
So-
somewhat arbitrary rules when it comes to.
Right, so I'm saying if this is a thought exercise, I'm not advocating anything here, I'm just sort of showing you that. So if it straddles the line, and you're in Exeter, and a West Greenwich kid gets in trouble on that side of the high school, they're going to the Exeter Juvenile Hearing Board, based on that jurisdictional claim. It doesn't really make sense. It makes sense for the kid to go to his community and have them look after him, the community that would know the kid a little better, maybe know the family history, or some kind of behavioral difficulties, or whatever it might be. So, in a best case scenario, I think that given that both towns have low numbers of referrals, which still remains a mystery, nobody's quite sure why that is, and that they're claiming jurisdiction, and we as a community would like to look after our kids, that we advocate at the state level for, or petition the state for a joint juvenile hearing board. But that we've got to get buy-in from the West Greenwich PD, or the West Greenwich Town Council, and I don't know how that would wash.
have to send them some correspondence and.
That would be a
You wouldn't be able
sensible
to do
first
anything till next January at the earliest.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know, I mean, we're like the Maytag repairman, I'm dating myself on that advertisement, but, there's nothing going on.
We're here.
So, I don't know what to do. We just sort of exist in perpetuity for,
Reach out to their
I
councils.
think we should reach out to West Greenwich and see if they would like that. It makes sense to have
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely
What?
makes
towns
sense.
together.
We have
Schools are
resources,
Yeah.
you know, so my background in social work, we've got resources. The RHVC works with FCCP, Family Care Community Partnership, with these kids to give the whole family resources. That's also the same area. So it's, you know, we have all this stuff to give, and we know there's need out there. It's not coming to us. I wish there was, we've tried to contact the high school several times.
so, yeah, our experience with the West Greenwich PD is perhaps a little insightful. I put it in my email that we had made an arrangement to have the SRO come meet us, and they did not notify us of a cancellation or follow up with a reason for skipping out on the meeting. We set up a second meeting and the same thing, so they had 4 opportunities to explain why they didn't meet with us. Oops.
Okay. We can do, we send some correspondence to the council and see if
And
they
then we'll have to, you know, talk to, see if we can get legislation, we'll talk to Megan, Elaine,
Yeah.
our rep and senator.
And if anybody has any insight as to why we're not getting referrals, that's a point of curiosity.
They may be handling some of it in-house.
Almost certainly they are, but these would be misdemeanors that should be.
But is that fair to our kids? If they're, you know, if they're in need of some service or that family is, and I'm not talking about just, yeah, like medical. It's not just social, emotional, behavioral, you know, it's all different things. Activities for these kids to keep them busy.
So the course forward, the way forward is
just fire off some correspondence to them, see if they wanna do a hybrid voice.
And if they say yes, then to the state,
Then
We'll
we'll
have to
stay.
sit down and
the General Assembly, is that where it will go to?
that's where the original one
Yeah.
was. So.
Very good, that's great. Good
Thank
news.
Excuse me,
you.
can I have a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Cal.
I just looked through, and I looked through what I see, was the superintendent ever copied on all of this? Because I have had a conversation with him, but some time ago, and I indicated there was a concern that you didn't seem to process people. He, again, didn't have an answer, but I suspect, as you just said, handling it in-house. I don't think, kids aren't ending up in family court, I assume, because this would
They're
be,
not.
They're not.
this would be the step to avoid that,
Right.
is my understanding. Though I know I've never been part of the process, but I would think that he should be copied on any communication that is going on, so that the school's aware that there's a concern here.
So by way of history, previous chair Frank Herrera and I went to meet with Superintendent Aronakis
Yeah,
about no referrals.
and what did he
He
say?
didn't really have much to say.
Well, no, he didn't have much to say to me either, because I asked that question of him.
So there's one other point that I want to get across to the board and council, is that for misdemeanors, there are juvenile hearing boards, and there's also a provision in the family court called intake. And it functions in a similar fashion as sort of the second chance function of the family court. The family court is historically overwhelmed with cases, and they just can't give it attention, and that's largely why the statewide juvenile hearing board is formed. But if we're only having 1 or 2 cases a year, that's an option. Off to go to intake at family court, and they get processed there, and presumably get their second chance.
Thank you. All right, thank you. What's that?
Somebody doing a letter?
You want to do it? You want to do it?
I guess so.
I think we need a motion.
That's what I was gonna do, is I'll make a motion to have the town clerk send a letter to West Greenwich Town Council to discuss a hybrid juvenile hearing board, if that is in both towns, something to that effect.
I'm happy to help with that letter.
She could use all the help she can.
Okay, great.
That would be great.
Right.
Thanks, Ed.
I'd like it to be noted that I think that the superintendent should be copied, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you wanna leave this on for old business?
You
I
gonna vote?
second, we gotta vote.
Oh,
You gonna vote?
well, sorry to say the motion.
Yeah.
Just a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, item C, request to be heard. Rita Cassidy, 71 Arcadia Road, regarding stormwater runoff on her property.
Yeah, can I speak to that, please? It was brought to my attention several weeks ago that there was an issue on Arcadia Road. And so I believe I made the call to Ms. Cassidy, but we spoke once or twice. And, you know, she indicated that there was concern about runoff on her property that was being created by excavation next door. So eventually, and I'm not sure, I never spoke to Ron DeFrancisco, but he did, and I think the council's been copied here. He did instruct the owner that a soil erosion and sediment control ordinance requires a plan to be drafted by an engineer. And the memo indicates it's determined that a violation has occurred and you're required to submit a plan to the office for review. And then he's included a copy of chapter 23. You may also review the ordinance on the town's website. So just for the record, I would like the record to indicate that that plan has been submitted, and we have Lynn, I believe, has copied us here. And it's sort of like this. So anyway, but I told Ms. Cassidy out of frustration that if she wanted to say something to us to explain the situation, we would listen. And I know that we specifically could act, but I just want you to know that something's been done. So, Ms. Cassidy, yes, it's you, yeah. Yeah, well, go ahead. Do you mind if the council hears from a resident with a concern?
No.
I live on Arcadia Road. I've lived there since 1961. I have always loved living in Exeter. I had Little League teams here and fundraised with Arthur Fernstrom and did softball for 9, 10 years. Mind my own business, go to work. In 2020, my husband and I were picking some vegetables, and we're watching excavation happening next door, and as trucks would go by, you know, we'd kind of sheepishly wave while we're doing our little farm. Eventually, we brought some vegetables over there, and we were being good neighbors. I don't know most of my neighbors on Arcadia Road. I just learned one of their names because I'm not the only one affected. And we found out that my neighbor was going to excavate and push land because he was putting in a garage to house his trucks. I live in a CR5 zone, and I thought that meant conservation and recreation and did not mean commercial.
And I've heard a lot tonight about rural and quiet, noise. I've heard about traffic. And it never seemed anybody cared about what my rights were as an abutting neighbor. Not for one parcel, but 4 parcels. I was never notified, and no one in my family was ever notified that a permit was being given, that was given in 2018 actually, for commercial enterprise. Didn't know anything about it, never notified about it. And when we left, after he told us what we were doing, we thought, nah, that couldn't be happening, because we were never notified. We just work the land and enjoy the land and go to work, and we don't even know our neighbors, and I thought that we were protected by zoning laws. In 2020, when we brought the veggies, we found out what was happening. Shortly afterwards, nuisance things were happening. My property marker is missing. I know that has nothing to do with you exactly, but if none of this happened, I wouldn't have had these problems for the past 5 years. 5 years. We would call Mr. Morgan, and there's no sense in beating him up, but we would call because the noise, the excavation, the bulldozing, the sound levels were over 7.5. And I'm quite far where I was taking those measurements from. And I would call him and tell him, and nothing was done. I took ill in August of 2021, and my husband called and said, could you start, he left a message with the dispatcher. And he said, my wife is seriously ill, could you do something, not start so early in the morning? Nothing was done. My husband had terminal cancer, stage 4 diagnosed that year. And I made phone calls to try and get the noise to start later because it was a business, and I guess businesses are allowed to make noise between 7 and 7. And nothing was done. Mr. Morgan didn't do anything either. My sister called, a lot of people called. Most of the time in 2021 and 2022 I was taking care of my husband, so the only person that we ever called was once the state police, who told us to call Mr. Morgan. Mr. Morgan told us this was a civil matter. The silt was impossible. The silt, my husband couldn't have open windows in the house. My sister couldn't have open windows in her house. And I have a video where you can see flooding up to our ankles. That property is destroyed. My father farmed that. He was a gentleman farmer. But it was so fertile with cow manure and pig manure and chicken manure and all the animals that he would raise. And we continued to farm it after he passed, and I've been mowing it for almost all of my life. The topography of my property has changed. I used to take a riding lawnmower and mow a couple of acres there. I can't anymore because the erosion has caused a slight slope to become a very difficult slope where you could tip over on your riding lawnmower, and I'm not about to use a push mower. In 2024, the flooding came down the hill in the driveway, FEMA came, the DEM came, everybody came to help. But Mr. Morgan didn't do any enforcement. You said you guys didn't know anything about it. but somebody had to know something about it. And so here's my concern. Where is the accountability here? We used to, I can't speak to the service that you would get from the Providence Journal now. I can only speak to it in the olden days. You made 3 phone calls. Somebody higher than the person you were speaking to looked into it. When Mr. Morgan issued a permit and none of the abutters were notified, doesn't he report to somebody? I was told that all the inspectors are independent. So do they pick and choose what they approve? How do you know they don't? How do you know they do? How do you know that they're abiding by your zoning laws, your overlays, your sound requirements? You don't. And even if you go and enforce them, what are you going to do? Fine somebody? Are your things, your zoning issues enforceable? Or do you have fines? And so, yeah, it's being worked on now, and I can tell you, I spoke to Karen Ellsworth because I can't speak to David Thornley. He's an abutting owner. David is your zoning inspector. I called Karen Ellsworth. At first, she was a little aloof, and I said, how does an illegal permit get issued? I don't understand this. I'm in a CR5 zone. And she said, it's not necessarily a legal permit. It could just be a stupid permit. I have met many stupid inspectors in my career who have done stupid things. I didn't know who I was speaking to at the time, and I know now that she's a land use lawyer. So she may have spoken to a lot of inspectors. She called me on 5/8, May 8th, and this is important. She told me, because when we were talking, I told her, you can look at a Google map and you can see all the land that's cleared and pushed forward towards Arcadia Road, because the house, the permits and everything are for Bates Schoolhouse Road. It's an 18-acre plot, I believe, and 30% of it, she told me, has been cleared in the CR5 zone. And she said that somebody called Joshua Chase was going to call me, and Ron DiFrancesco, and if they don't, we're going to kick butt. And she didn't say butt. No one contacted me, but I assume that work started. I just had the questions, how do you have a business approved in the CR5 zone without notifying the landowners? How did we fall through the cracks? Because I'm not the only one affected. I can remember in the 70s, my dad wanted to have a TV repair shop in his basement. He was denied. I remember a racetrack, and I think it was in the 60s, that they wanted to put across the street, and I believe that was, well, of course it was denied. I guess one of the things that I want to know is, what's the hierarchy here? Is there any accountability? I can hardly almost blame my neighbor, because if I were allowed to do things that go against your zoning laws, and nobody cared about it in the hierarchy that I thought there was, I just don't understand it. What is the point of your zoning laws and your charter, and who gets to pick and choose what is done, and how is there a breakdown in communication? Is there no oversight? I can't recover damages. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Hire a lawyer who's going to tell me I need to hire an engineer? And what will I recoup? Some loan to put over land that's damaged? The torture that we've gone through for 5 years? I just came to say tonight, you guys talk about setbacks. No one was concerned about any setbacks in a CR5 zone. No one was concerned about building a mountain so high that now it's being reduced. But it's 5 years. 5 years. And maybe I'm negligent, and I'll have to take some responsibility that I didn't come here. I kind of couldn't. I didn't think I'd have to, because I thought you were all here with the zoning laws and the overlays and all this talk about sound. 7.5 bulldozers, 5 years of it, earthmoving, 5 years. That's all I have to say. I'm just very disappointed in my town.
Okay, thank you.
Before you move on,
Yeah.
if I could, thank you. The conversation that I had on the phone was such that I told the young lady that we might not be able to do anything. At the time, I didn't know, but I told her that she could come and ask. And in the meanwhile, subsequent to that, the information that we've got here from Ron DiFrancesco moved forward, and I appreciate that. We now have a copy of that plan that's been referenced. I, quite frankly, would like to have this reviewed. I've spoken to Bill about this. I'd like to have this reviewed by a town engineer, one that we hire, to see if this plan seems appropriate. I've read parts of it. I certainly am no engineer, but I have questions about it. So that would be my request tonight, that we submit this plan for an overview from an engineer hired by the town. And that's my motion.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ray.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you, Rita.
Okay, next is Exeter Job Force Status Report. That was you, Cal?
It is, and I'm sorry that I didn't make a call, but a week ago I happened to drive onto the premises, and there was a gentleman outside that I stopped to talk to. I said, "Are you employed here?" He said, "Yes." He was on the kind of break that you take from time to time. You know what I mean?
Those are the ones on the main
But
road,
they-
that's all
no.
they do is stand out there and
No,
smoke
no, no, I'm
cigarettes.
talking about somebody right outside the building that was doing what you do.
Yeah.
You get it? You know what I'm saying? Anybody
Back
know what
in
I'm
the green-
talking
they're in
about
the green
here?
room, I know.
So,
Yeah.
all I said was, "Excuse me, but do you work here?" And he said, "I do." And I said, "I see cars, I see activity, do you know what the status is?" And he said, "No, they don't, they're just hearing day by day." That was over a week ago. So, I'm not sure, I haven't heard anything again, and I wish I had tried to call today, and I got a little bit caught up with other stuff I was trying to pull together. Does anyone know? Has anyone heard?
I thought I read it in an article in the journal that it doesn't affect Exeter.
I hope you're right.
And then they looked at unproductive type.
Good, I hope,
Yeah.
because that was not the message that
I mean,
got
it-
delivered.
I can go on Projo and
Good.
just pull
Oh,
it
I
out.
hope that's right. Anybody else heard? Good. Let's assume it's moving forward the way it is.
Yes.
Thanks, Ray.
Okay, next is
Oh, jeez.
Exeter West Greenwich
Okay.
Charter Amendment, special election
Okay.
reconsideration.
Yep, I put that there. I put that there because I have reason to believe that we can address the issue and forego an election if we petition. And I'll tell you what the petition is. If you remember several years ago, the issue was that one town, I believe it was Exeter, I know it was Exeter, approved the budget, but West Greenwich did not. So it put the school, you might have been sitting there, and put the district in a position of maintaining the current year's budget. And then the question became readjusting the amounts of money that each town was required to give to the district based on the population in October. And if you remember, that's the way that was resolved. Subsequently, there was a charter commission set up, you might remember, Dan, and I think Mike LaFave sat on it. And they agreed to the language that is forthcoming here, that they wish to have approved. However, the likelihood of that situation recurring is hopefully minimal. And if we agree to resolve the issue the way we did before and accept that charter amendment as a council, that they will forego they will retract their request for a special election. I've been told that we can do that, and I believe we should do that, and I'm making a motion to that effect. And the motion specifically is to write to the school committee with a copy of the West Greenwich Town Council, suggesting that we would, in the event of the situation that recurred, in that event, we would resolve the issue the way we resolved it. I think it was 3 years ago, maybe 4, I think it was 3. And that's a motion. I appreciate a second. We may be able to avoid that election request that's hanging out there, that I understand has not had any specificity to date. Is that correct? There's no specific date set for that. Is that right, Lynn? Or Ted, do you know?
I requested it, and they said it was gonna be up to what happened tonight. That was the last thing I had.
There are
So you've had a conversation
Yes,
with
sir.
someone.
Yes.
There are 4 things on here, Cal.
Yeah,
It's not
I know.
the only
The second-
one. There's
Okay.
$550,000.
No, those first two were
Those
done.
2 were decided in April. That was the budget request.
It's
That
the
was
one down
approved.
below.
It's the 2 below that. One is changing the date of the meeting, which was changed.
Is there a
this
second
year.
to the motion?
I don't know,
I'll
there was a
second for
second.
discussion, so.
It's been seconded. Okay, interesting, Ted's comment, he just said he doesn't have an answer depending on what happened tonight. And what he's referring to, Ted, correct me if I'm wrong, is the motion that I've just suggested.
That's correct.
That we write to ask that the town of West Greenwich agree to resolve the issue the way we did several years ago. The other point let me make on behalf of my motion is that now we have that 5-year averaging. The effect of, should one town reject next year's budget request, or both, the effect should be minimal because of the 5-year averaging. So, it's my motion. Thank you, Ray, for seconding it. If you think we should move forward with the special election that requires 20 days prior, that's what I'm trying to avoid.
Plus a lot of money.
I'm sorry?
Plus a lot of money.
For
Somebody has,
both towns.
yeah, somebody has to pay for it.
For both
And the
towns,
school
in
will
excess
save
of
it.
$6,000.
No matter who, whether the school or the town, but the school is gonna pay for it.
Right, but we
The
pay,
taxpayers pay.
the
Okay,
taxpayers pay, correct.
Okay. So you wish to have the town hall disrupted for 20 days so that 2 or 3 people might show up a day to vote for this, when I'm telling you that it can be mitigated and avoided. Oh, I'd love to see how this is gonna play out.
Well, I'm thinking there's something further down on the agenda that would need to go to a vote too, it could be done at the same time.
And what's that on the agenda?
Going out for a bond issue for the renovation of that building up there for a new town hall.
Okay,
Yeah,
All right, you wanna postpone the discussion and decision on this
Yeah, 'cause
item
that-
until we cover the other one? I know what you're talking about, Dan.
Yeah, okay, well, let's postpone this and get through the agenda. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, can we make a note, please? We have to revisit this item.
yeah.
What,
He, we're gonna hold on it for just a while.
yeah,
Till next month.
Till I get down to,
I'm
till I
sorry.
get down to item M.
Well, the one thing that they has to be into this whole thing is, we need to know by the end of July as to what they're doing.
Yeah, that's, we're gonna postpone, not, what's the word? We're going to table until we can get to item 10. What is that? And should, by the way, I put that item on the agenda too.
Cal, is
No, I
that
know.
your motion
No, I made a motion.
to table it until 10 M?
Yes, that's what Dan wants
I
to
mean,
do.
I'm looking at this charter amendment they're proposing.
You're gonna have to.
It's nothing.
And basically, if there's a failure of the referendum, we yield an approved annual budget. They just want to write their own budget, is that what they're looking at?
No, no, Marina's
Is this the one
shaking
where
her
they
head.
come up with-
I wish I could get some help on this.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah. Let's move along, revisit this one, Cal.
unbelievable.
Okay.
That's
item-
okay.
Okay, we're gonna come back to it, Cal. Item F, posting of no through truck signs on all non-arterial roads. You got anything on that, or is that, wait, keep it till
Rob
next?
is gonna,
Yeah, I didn't know anything
Okay,
about
we'll
that.
keep that till next month, so, all right. G, Public Works, Exeter Clerk's Office parking lot, request to close building at 1 o'clock on July 11th, 2025 for first step pavement preservation.
So move.
It's up in the air, they might not be here. Yeah, but we'll give you permission to do it, rain or shine.
Whenever they-
Yeah. I was talking to him outside about this, so,
Okay.
yeah, but.
Are we withdrawing this
No,
request?
no, I'm just, they might be here, they might not, it's weather dependent this week, so.
So if they
So you want me to adjust my motion to say that we approve this weather dependent?
No, we'll close anyway.
Yeah, you can approve it. but-
No, because if the weather doesn't, you're here, you're gonna leave.
So if
Isn't
they,
there a little loophole there?
No. It's up to Rob whether you leave or not.
He's not here.
Well, I need a day off, Pat, let's be real.
so if they show up, we're closing at
No,
1.
he's on
Yeah.
vacation.
If they don't show up, we can close whatever day they show up.
Yeah, that makes
Next
sense,
one.
yeah, because it's weather dependent,
it's
I know, I've
weather
talked with
dependent.
Jim Aronakis, I know exactly if we do this.
we had a
It'll
motion,
be fine.
and, no, Cal says so.
Yeah, somebody needs to make that into a motion.
Okay,
Withdraw my motion.
okay.
I don't even know what that was.
Okay.
So,
Good, don't worry about
We'll
it.
make a motion to grant the request on July 11th at 1 o'clock, weather dependent. In the event that they don't show up because it rains, they can close at 1 o'clock on whatever other day they show up, on the sunshine.
That's a motion?
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
We'll have to get right.
H, Public Works, awarding a bid, Exeter Animal Shelter HVAC replacement. You up on that one? Yeah, you wanna give us a
He
spiel?
made his recommendation.
Yeah, there's a recommendation.
we have-
Yes, right, there is a recommendation here.
Yes, Rob.
Yeah, he recommends that we award the bid to the MAC,
Mechanical.
Services, correct?
Yes.
We have that dated, I don't know what the date is, but
July.
it's right
Does somebody
here.
wanna make that motion?
I move that we accept or approve the recommendation of Director Shappy to award the bid to MAC Mechanical Services.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next is the tax assessor awarding the bids to oh, I'm sorry, skip one, I'm sorry. Public Works requesting one of the bids, fully automatic recovery 134 AC service machine high performance.
Yeah, we're looking to be able to charge our own trucks
ACs. And recycle the nasty 300.
No, and,
Recover the 300.
and trucks go down when we have to ship them out, we don't have them. And it costs quite a bit to have it done. I had to drive the grader from the shop all the way to Quonset to have the AC charged, and then drive it back,
Wow,
so,
it's a long ride with a grader.
yeah.
Okay.
You drove it? Wow. Okay, that's a lot, yeah.
Make a motion, right?
Okay, we'll make the motion for Public Works and price about the bid, the full automatic recovery. 134A AC service machinery, high performance.
Second.
Okay,
All in
any
favor?
discussion? All in
Aye.
favor, say
Aye.
aye. Opposed, no,
Okay,
ayes have it.
now the next one is J, tax assessor awarding a bid, statistical reassessment and reevaluation of taxable and exempt wood property located within the corporate limits of the town of Exeter, Rhode Island, effective December 31st, 2026.
Yes, I'll be happy to speak to that as liaison. Bids were opened on July 2nd. There was one bid only from Vision Government Solutions. That bid was for $96,000. And we have a memorandum from Carrie Petrarca, the tax assessor. She indicates that she's reviewed the proposal to ensure the requirements. There was one more, I beg your pardon. There was another one. The second bid was from another company in the amount, wasn't there a second
No.
one, Lynn? Oh, I'm sorry. Well, that's why I thought I read somewhere a real high amount. Anyway, she recommends this proposal for statistical eval, and she wants to remind us that 60% of that cost is generally, hopefully, reimbursed by the state. Anyway, they're the ones that have been doing the work here, and they do the work, if you remember her memorandum. These are the towns that that company services all over Rhode Island. If
Wow,
I,
Tom.
can I make a motion to accept that bid? Thank you.
That's motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item K, treasurer, request to renew contract, Constellation Electrical Provider.
So right now, we are under contract until December 2025 with Constellation to provide the electricity for the town. So we have to do something before December anyway. And, well, we were made aware that the legislation passed a different way of costing the electrical supply in, to kind of put it in the simplest of forms if I can. They're going through another way of pricing. But the other way of pricing is new. It's spot market related rather than futures related. And they have found that it's been very volatile, a little bit unpredictable. Whereas usually the futures are a little bit more predictable and they go out a little bit longer. So seeing that we have to do something anyway, they approached us saying that we can act quickly by July 11th to lock in a price that is actually lower than what we're paying now, and it will be fixed between now and December of 2028. So right now, we're paying 12.1270 because the pricing goes out for 4 decimal places. And and because of this new law, it could go up to 0.1313. They're saying that we can lock in at 0.1178 until December of 28. And to allow us to mitigate and kind of get around it because we're acting now, the DASI legislation will go into effect August 1st. And So they're asking, she is available by phone if anybody has any questions. She did send a pretty detailed email that you all received. So my recommendation is to lock in until, for .1178, a fixed option that will carry us through December 2028.
I move to accept or adopt the recommendation made by Treasurer Lola.
One second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now, introduction, consideration, and possible action, proposed amendments to Exeter Code of Ordinances, Chapter 14, Building and Building Regulations, Article 9, impact fees. Who's up on this one? Yeah. Is this his draft?
That is my understanding, with the communication I saw between Maria and Ben, the consultant, that it's not a completed document yet. So it's in a draft form, so it's not ready to be presented to the council.
Yeah.
And also it has to be listed on the agendas should be adopting or approving the impact fee study. And then we go and we change the ordinance.
Well, you can send it back to him, tell him take that entire commercial section right out of there. I'm dead serious. Yeah.
Well,
They won't do it.
Couldn't we have something in there like Route 2 and Route 3? I think it's unfair to have impact fees when they're for the school or they're for Exeter
believe that would be
for
the-
someone who's not using
It
it.
goes to Public
Yeah.
Works in town roads.
I believe that'd be part of the public hearing. And you don't even, you just have a draft there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, it's
Well,
not,
he's-
it's not even the full
Right, he's gotta finish the whole report for the
Can we
council to
suggest that
adopt
to him?
and discuss and adopt. But I don't know if you wanna do a preemptive question to him to speed it up, to say that what would happen if commercial were taken out, I don't know.
I would take, the first version, it wasn't in there. When they redid it, they added it, and now we got it back in there again. I mean, per 1,000 square feet, current fees, $3,312 for an office. Gee, dropped it to 2,996 per 1,000 square feet per office, which is low impact. No impact.
And you got a work session on it and invite him, not so much to come here, but to do
Available on Zoom or?
a Zoom meeting. Because these are questions that we don't have the ability to answer until we hire them.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I would just tell them to take commercial completely out of the picture.
I don't believe we can. I mean, I don't know. We can
Then
ask
do
them.
away with impact fees entirely, you know? It's, if they can't get, I mean, you got very little commercial land in Exeter. Like, the argument I had when they did this before, you're competing with Point. You know? They're gonna look at this and say, see, or westerly, you know? It's just like, that's why you're ending up with nothing but houses on Route 2. You're losing your commercial base. Yeah.
So going back to the consultant, and what do we do with this agenda item? Take it off? Move it?
Excuse me?
What do you want to do with this agenda item? Move it to unfinished business or
Put it under old business, I mean,
for next month? Or
Yeah.
give it a couple months?
So next, when the report is finished, it's gonna have to go on for approval of the impact fee study. This is for the ordinance, so
Yeah.
it's separate.
This is not even, this is premature right now.
Right. I mean, if everybody was happy with it, I think you probably could schedule,
yeah.
you know, some
Yeah,
of the
this is
hearings
a
and stuff like
draft.
that, but if, it sounds like there might be some more work to be done before this is the end of that.
So there's two things that are gonna happen. The study is one and ordinance is the other.
Yeah, this is the study,
This
this is the draft.
This is number one, and then ordinance.
Okay,
Old business.
old business. Okay, item M, 742 10 Rod Road, future town hall, future plan. And this one here, Cal, this is where we were having some discussion after the financial town meeting, is to get a lot more information on this proposed town hall up the road and put it into a referendum with this, the same day. The same, let the voters vote on it.
So you wanna vote on $2.5 million bond in November?
Excuse me?
You wanna vote on a $2.5 million bond for that building in November?
Up to borrowing, see, that's
Well,
what was
I
so vague
understand.
in that
Yes,
description
up to.
that that bond agent was.
That's
So,
correct,
Get
okay.
more information from the voters.
Okay.
And,
All right.
schematics, so.
Well-
Put them together.
Yeah, okay, well, here's what I have to say about, I'm just gonna speak to it.
Yeah.
This is a significant move on our part. I mean, a significant way to proceed, where honestly, I think we've got a building that can be useful soon with enough money put in from what we already have to create the space we need to allow for the room we need in this building. Everybody says to me, we need a town administrator. I say,
There's no
show me
room.
the office.
That's
Show
what
me
I
the
felt.
office, people. Come in
I'm
and
agreeing
show
with
me.
you on that one.
What do you want, them to sit here at the council table? No, here's my point, I don't mean to get angry, but, yeah, oh, but you wanna put them somewhere?
Make
Oh.
one office.
Oh, Lynn
Make-
has a suggestion, okay, so we'll have to talk about that. I think that we should create it as an annex for now. Spend enough money to make it safe, make sure it's up to code, and make sure it can, maybe can accommodate the food bank. And who else needs a lot of space? I think planning does, but, and I know, here's a communication that, we got today. No, I don't know when we got it, but I just saw it. July 2nd to the town council. You've all seen it? We at the Board of Canvassers are interested in knowing when we are able to move to the new town hall. For us to move, minor adjustments would need to be made. Security would need to be determined, and there is one office there that can hold the three of us and have ample storage. The Board of Elections have already approved the location as being adequate for elections. Please let us know the status of the building and our ability to move to that location. That's signed Nancy Anderton, Chair of the Board of Canvassers. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Honestly, I don't support what you want to do. Sorry. Now, let me say this, one more thing, please. We have a water issue now that somehow we have to decide how to resolve. We can't even use the building. I assume that by the time November comes and you wish to float that bond question, that we will have decided. But I don't think we should move forward until we know how that water issue is gonna be resolved, so the building is usable. I mean, from what I understand, it's still off limits. Is it not off limits?
We'll discuss
Can we
that
go in
executive
there?
session.
Can we have a little something?
We'll discuss that in executive session.
I know that, I know that. So because we're gonna discuss that today, I believe we need to look at that resolution, hopefully we can come up with one. And I believe the entire council should be present for a decision that's of that magnitude. So I'm just saying that my vision is not your vision. I'm sorry. But you got other people here, so I understand that.
One question. Have you ever asked the employees about how they feel about they're gonna be working there? I know Jeanette, besides Jeanette, but I mean, have they ever approached the employees about how they would like that building to be used?
We met with them before, we met with all the staff, and there were some that indicated they're very happy. And there are others that indicated they really would like to have space.
Well, the Board of Campus would need space, so is my.
We did, when we have.
Well,
the-
I recognize that, Diane, that's why I'm speaking the way I am. So, anyway, I don't believe we should do anything about your proposal, but if you wanna do it, if you wanna make the motion, I just want you to know
I
I
think
can't
we should
support it.
discuss what we were gonna discuss in executive session.
But, okay, well, let's go back to this one.
Could we?
Let's go back to this.
Could we?
Why, you read this, the way I'm reading this, from the year that, was that the year where they came back on us wanting another $40,000, like 3 or 4 months
Yes,
after the fact?
yes, yes.
Is that the same, the way that
So
was the
by
year?
rubber stamping it and doing away with that, they're gonna just come back whenever they need extra money
No.
after?
Only when the budget isn't approved by both towns.
So when they don't get their way, they can force the other town that voted against it.
Well, that would be a recalculation based on the population. Based on the population, it'd be a recalculation. The point is, after 5 years of averaging, that should be minimal. I'm just saying.
This is to solve that problem where they came back for money
Exactly.
that we did not
You
owe
didn't
them.
wanna give extra money.
And we didn't give it to them.
We know
Probably not.
No, we didn't.
that West Greenwich.
So by doing away with this, they can just come back and say, well, we want 40 grand, you have
No.
to give it to us.
No. Only, please, only, can somebody help here? Only when the budget is not approved by both towns, or either town. It has to be an approved budget.
Now, how's it work right now? If one town doesn't approve it, the budget fails.
That is correct. And the budget is frozen at the current year level.
That's the way it should be then.
Yes, but what they did was they recalculated the amounts that each town should supply based on the new population figures. So if we had more kids, we're gonna give more money. Pat, am I right?
Yeah, if it got defeated and we had more kids, then we would have to pay that difference on those new
Right,
kids.
and-
Four
and-
kids, 5 kids, whatever it is.
And my point, apparently, that's where we weren't gonna pay it, I guess, but,
Right,
But they gave you the count after October.
the account was October 1st,
Yep.
right.
that's required by charter.
And what happened was, if I'm correct, it got defeated by one town. I don't know what town.
That was West
But it got
Greenwich.
defeated,
That was West
and
Greenwich.
so everything was equal back to that last year.
Right.
And they had more kids in that October count
No,
than
we
what they
didn't.
had in the previous year. So they wanted us to pay for those extra kids.
No, we must have
And
had,
we couldn't, we didn't. But whoever had more kids,
we must have had more, that's why we were charged.
probably, but
Well,
whoever had most
Maria's,
kids.
no, remembers, don't you, Maria?
I do, yeah. whoever
Well, am
had
I
most
right or am
kids.
I wrong?
Yeah.
God, I like hanging out
So
here.
if we don't do this referendum, they can just do whatever they want then.
If the
If
budget
the budget
is
gets
not
cut, the
approved.
budget gets cut to where it would be. In other words, if they wanna go back to the last year's cut, that would be there, you wouldn't be paying for those extra kids. With that, they want you to pay for those extra kids, and they want it to go, and Jim Maruzak said, it should go to referendum, because it's a charter question. It
And
came
it
before the
is.
council before,
And it will.
for the council
It
to
should
acknowledge
be,
it.
their charter should
This-
be changing,
It
This
is.
not us.
You're only agreeing to this year so that they'll put that question
On the next year's ballot.
It's not for
At a
every
no, it's for a regular, it will be held up for 1 year and will go on next year's regular election, when there's an election that everybody's gonna attend. It's a way to get rid of the special election that's now been set up for this
So
year.
what happens if they vote in April to defeat it, and then we have more kids, then what's gonna happen?
We would agree, it's a 5-year average. Please help me out, Maria. So the minimal, the impact should be far less than it used to be because we're doing
But
a
it would still be-
Should be
five-year
far less, but
average.
we're still gonna
But
pay
you're
for those
still
extra
gonna
kids.
pay more.
If you
Yes.
vote for that tonight, you're still gonna pay for those extra kids.
Oh, how unfair that we should pay for additional students in our town. How terribly unfair.
No, that's taxation without representation.
Oh, my God.
Hey, I did that once.
Yeah, please just defeat it. Let's just go ahead. What do you think, Ted? You got any thoughts on it?
I think they're gonna lose it. If it goes to a general election, what you're gonna have is, from what I've seen in the last one, the first beginning of it, you've got the elderly who are gonna come in. And I talked to the superintendent about this, and he backed off on the last one.
Well, that's a chance they take, they're having a referendum vote. Chance
That's
they
right.
take.
What's that, Pat?
He's saying that they could lose that if they went to referendum. That's the chance they're gonna take if they go to referendum.
That's right.
Well, that's what the charter,
And why do you think they want it now? So in case it happens next year,
In April.
then they can, in April or May, whatever they change the
I don't
date
see
to.
the urgency anyway, why they have to have a special election, why they just couldn't do it at the next election.
They're
Because they're
trying-
afraid it's gonna get cut again, probably.
Afraid that next
And then we
year's
have to
gonna
make, they're gonna be stuck with 3 extra kids or 4 extra kids or whatever it might be.
I think they're trying to get, I think they think that what they're gonna do by doing this is they're gonna have the early election and they're gonna push the parents like no tomorrow.
Right, to get it
That's
passed.
gonna catch everybody off guard.
Rhode.
I mean, the other side of it is that year, West Greenwich could have extra too. It's not,
Should we postpone this for a year?
Let them do their election if they want to, it's a regional school district.
You're not gonna stop them from doing their election unless you do this.
You can't stop them having an election where I come from, but.
You know,
well, you know, I'm sorry, Pat, but I've had conversations indicating that if we approve what I've suggested, there won't be one in November. If you wish to have one in November, you, Board of Canvassers, what I've heard is you don't want the election.
No.
Which apparently you do.
Well, no.
It doesn't matter,
From
you
a
said.
financial standpoint, I think it's ridiculous. From a financial standpoint. I'm
This
a
charter
taxpayer.
amendment,
I'm paying for
the charter amendment is ridiculous.
it. Yeah, the whole thing.
Yes,
Election,
but-
not one.
Anyway, they want it now, in my opinion, so they don't get stuck next year
In
the same way
In
and have
April.
extra
If-
kids there that we're not paying for.
If, yeah,
Can I ask one
So if we
question?
pass that tonight, you're gonna pay for those extra kids if you get them. And nobody has to say so except for the councils.
Can I ask one question, please?
Yes.
We vote as, it's the Exeter West Greenwich School District.
Yeah.
So it would seem to me that no matter how the vote goes, that's it. It wasn't voted by one town or the other town. And I'll look into this, but it's a matter of the 2 towns voting together. So if West Greenwich rejected it and we improved it, or vice versa, it doesn't matter. It's because we,
The total count.
the total count, yes, that's my point. So,
And years ago, it used to be mixed together for that reason that you're stating right there. You never had separate elections years ago. You put all the ballots in one box and.
that's what it should be.
I'd just like to indicate for the record tonight that there was a charter review commission. We sent a member of our council, West Greenwich sent a member of their council, it must have been someone from the school committee, and they recommended this. So that's that, but if you don't wanna do it, then you don't do it.
It's already been a motion and a second.
Mhm.
So this should be moved to the general election in 2026.
That's where it should be.
That's where it should be.
That's where it should be, but you
That's
can't
what
make
my
them-
motion
You can't make them
is.
do that.
Yeah.
Well,
That's what his motion would do.
yeah,
His
and I've
motion
been
passes.
told that this would be agreeable to all parties if we agree. But, you know, I'm
But what
almost hoping you say no. And I will tell the folks that I tried.
But
Well, that's what he
But what
indicated.
happens, my question is, what happens to those extra kids?
Yes, Pat, you mean if the budget isn't approved
Right,
by one town or the other?
Right.
Which rarely happens, Pat.
but it happens.
Okay,
So what happens to the extra kids?
We may have to pay more.
So then you're paying, and the rest of the town, they go in and vote, and they think they're defeating the budget, but yet they're not, because they're gonna be paying for extra kids, and they don't have a chance to vote on that charter question.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
the only question I have.
Yeah, that's fine. You know what, I think if Exeter has more kids than West Greenwich, we ought to pony up, but that's my sense of fairness. All right, just, let's move on.
I'm not saying you should or shouldn't, I'm talking about taxpayers out there.
I mean, the way it's worded here, if we just tell them go ahead and do it without the voters voting?
No.
Yeah.
No. No,
Yeah,
I'm
I think
saying
that's
that should be voted on in November of 2026
That's
at
what
the
I'm
regular
saying.
election. And if we indicate
But
that
I
we
don't
would
think that was
accept,
your motion.
okay, I don't know. Did you take it down? I maybe didn't mention 2026.
No. Because I'll support it.
My point is to tell them that we wish to see this on the ballot in 2026, but we also have to agree that in the unlikely event that what happened a few years ago is repeated, that we will solve the problem the way this recommends, which is the
Well, then
fact
you're
that.
sitting there agreeing to something that hasn't been voted on. I mean, and what happened before is they sitting there wanting to pony up more money like 4 or 5 months down the road that they weren't entitled to.
That's right.
I remember that
That's
now.
right.
And they sued us.
$40,000.
Yeah.
And the taxpayers voted to cut the budget. And then the school came back and said they wanted $40,000 more because the
And
numbers
West
were different.
Greenwich had already paid that $40,000.
Right, but the
So
thing
now we
is,
were gonna pay it on top of that.
the thing is, if you agree to this now, you're agreeing the taxpayers are gonna be liable for that $40,000 that they didn't think they were voting for when they went into that booth to vote to
It's
defeat the
interesting,
budget.
Pat's observation,
Well, that's
because the year that happened, Exeter voters approved the budget, but she's indicating that
But they came
taxpayers.
back to Exeter.
But they
for
came
more
back
money.
to us wanting extra
Pat,
money.
right, why don't you just say no?
Well, no, if we could vote this down, I'd like to make a motion that
Did Cal have a
we.
motion on the
He
floor?
made a
Yeah,
motion.
he did, but I'm just saying, this is what I would like to do if this is defeated.
Okay.
Make a motion that we ask, that we would like them to do this in 2026 instead of now.
We already did that, we did send
That
them a
was my
letter, we
motion.
Send a
sent,
letter.
and they responded that they're doing it.
They said no, but now I understand that if we say, please put it off a year, and if that same situation recurs, we would accept the new language as
Well, like,
proposed.
you can't accept the new language until it's been voted on.
Well, we,
So almost like
Yeah.
an interim, as if it was approved, but then it could be defeated in November of 2026.
Like it's a one-time.
It's
That's
a guide, it's a guide in
You
the
know.
event of,
the April 20-something election is on there to be approved, but somehow or other, we held that election in April, even though it wasn't supposed to be held, but it was, with the understanding that the charter was going to be amended. I just can't believe we're having this discussion, I'm sorry.
so if you vote no, they're gonna have a special election now. If you vote yes, they'll wait until 2026, but we're gonna operate as if that's in effect in case it gets defeated until 2026, where it could get defeated
All right.
in.
And if it's defeated, then the spit's out the window.
Right, that'll be,
But it's a way to avoid this special election, which we've been asked. I don't know, maybe nobody else has been asked.
For that, did they just send this
that
to
was
us and
the-
say,
That
use
was the
this?
school, that was the school language right there.
When's he gonna have an answer by? He didn't put anything on a letterhead, did he?
when do they need an answer? You need an answer.
Well, no, I have till the end of the month, I got to the end of the month.
The last council meeting.
This will be the last council meeting.
See, my issue is, put it off, but if they need more money, just 1 year, they're gonna cut money in.
So we tell them no again. Tell them no again.
It's not if they, Dan, it's not if they need money. It's only if the budget isn't approved. That's all.
And our numbers change.
And our numbers change
Yeah.
per the
We-
5-year rolling average, which is gonna be a little softer
It
than.
is softer than
And
what
you're
it
not giving
was.
the taxpayers the right to know that.
Taking
That's
a
my only
gamble.
question.
We're
What's
taking a
that?
gamble.
We're taking a
gamble, right?
Right.
So you don't,
Feeling lucky?
you ask them to postpone that till next year, right? But you tell them, we'll act as if that's passed, only for April
Only
of
for this
'26.
Yeah.
Only for.
You guarantee saving the 6,000 at the risk of maybe having to pay for some extra.
And that's the other part of the gamble.
If X, Y, and Z all.
But like Cal said, you know, how many times has it really failed? So we only got
Still
in
not
that situation
fair.
once in the 15 years I've
For
been
1
here.
year.
What is the
It still might be a favor of taxpayers, don't
It's
So
not
what was the
fair.
original motion?
The-
To write the school committee with a copy to the West Greenwich Town Council, that in the event this, it reoccurred that the budget failed, we would resolve it in the same manner we did the year it resolved. Only, but you didn't put in.
But we didn't.
But you didn't put
So
in
we
for
should
only
say-
2026.
Right, no, you need to add
We
that,
didn't
and
pay
you need to say resolve it.
So we'll
in a
resolve it
manner-
the same way, we didn't pay them.
No,
That's right.
that's
That
why,
there says you're gonna pay them.
yeah, that's,
That's the problem that I have, because the taxpayers, you're not being fair to the taxpayers. That's my feeling. I know, Calvin, you don't wanna hear me.
What is the
But
differential?
you're.
What's the biggest differential in swing that you've ever had in terms of population between Exeter and West Greenwich, in terms of numbers? Because you've saved in 6,000, but what would the net effect be in the worst case scenarios?
I mean, I
Ten-
think
It's
10 kids.
21,000
could be
per
10 or
kid.
11 kids has been,
In the last few years, it's been 8 to 10 kids difference.
8
that
to
we've
10 kids.
We've gone higher
So
over a
you,
1 year period.
so you say 8 at 20,000 a kid? Is that what you
no,
get?
it's not that simple because it's a
22,000 a kid.
well, it's a
Well, and
percentage
it's average.
of.
5 years.
yeah.
So do we have a number? Is it somewhere between
It could be as much.
100,000?
Well, what was it, 4 years, was it 4 years ago? It was $40,000,
Yeah.
43,000.
You
We
got
didn't have
6,000
much
laid
of a
out,
swing.
so you're looking at, 30 possible.
But the likelihood
30,000.
of it failing, I mean,
Well, there's a likelihood of everything, so.
All about,
Well, there's probably not much of a chance that it's not gonna pass. Unless they're pushing it, thinking that they're gonna raise it. And it's about $6,000 for,
yeah, so we're gonna need at least 2 people
Yeah, we figure, yeah, 4 people.
for
That's, you gotta figure, that's 14 days.
21.
Has
Yeah,
West
we-
Greenwich agreed to that, Calvin?
What?
Has West Greenwich agreed to this?
Oh, I have no idea, but I've been told they will. I've been told that the school committee will accept this. I'm not gonna say anymore. I just, never mind.
Of course the school committee will accept it.
all in favor of Calvin's motion?
I,
I'm thinking I.
geez,
What are you thinking, Ray?
No.
my God,
Dan?
what a shame.
I'll go aye, just to save the damn money.
Thank you,
Patty, you
thank
kill me
you,
tomorrow.
thank you, Dan.
Oh,
Thank you, Dan.
It's not me, I'm thinking about the taxpayers.
So it was
I don't
3
think the
yeses and 1
situation
no?
will occur.
Yeah, okay.
you probably made the right move.
I don't think it's gonna.
It's a waste of money.
Nobody comes out.
Okay, unfinished business. Fire remediation status, 710 Rhode, everybody seen Ron's report?
You mean that one up?
You put a report in,
Go had a report too.
Oh, man.
Well, that was in service of the payment.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been any response.
that was, yeah,
Yeah, that was a-
no one by that name lives at that address, so it's still out there, we don't know what.
Still hanging out there.
No,
Well,
wait.
the-
No,
The
wait,
gentleman was in the other day.
I questioned, the gentleman came to the town hall,
Oh,
Yes,
when I was in here.
yes.
and I asked him, and I looked at him, I go, who are you? And he told me his name. I said, oh,
there's a notice on the building over there for you. I tried serving you, and we found out what his new address was, and he told the assessor. He
Oh,
changed his
the one that
address.
owns it?
And he got the letter.
Yeah, he got the letter.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
hopefully he'll respond to that, and we can follow up next month.
Did you see it on the news the other night?
When did that happen?
There's garbage on the back.
Last week.
Yeah, the mover,
Yeah.
wasn't me.
Okay, B, status, welcome signage in and out of town.
I contacted the Coventry DPW office, and the person that did theirs, and did a majority of them in the town, in the towns, passed away, handed the job, the business over to, someone else. And that person's been overwhelmed, I guess, with the new business, and Coventry can't get in touch with them. I have the DPW director gave me a list of 2 other local sign companies, Rhode Island sign companies, that may be capable of doing this, but he has not used either one of them yet, so. The type of signs we're looking for, we may not be able to get. We might have to go more of the ones that are like in the town hall, library, front here, the sticky ones, so.
Okay.
Thought you wanted a fancy one.
All right,
Again.
Yeah.
okay.
2 now.
Status, Rhode Island 250 Commission, Exeter Historic Preservation Commission, nothing right now.
No, they're doing things, but can't tell you what.
Okay. Item D, town government buildings uses and improvement plan, 742 10 Rod Road, future town hall. Back to square one. Go.
What?
Back to square one.
No, this is about the architectural, isn't this what we asked Ken to review?
Yeah.
Ken.
Yeah.
I would, it all depends on really what you wanna do, and I think we should have a
Yeah,
work
I would-
session to really sit down and talk about the plans, as, you know, I went through the plans earlier, in different parts of the process, you know, until we have 3 different buildings, but even the ones about moving this building to that one, the possibilities, and so I think we can get back to that.
I agree.
Oh, well, I thought there was a concern raised that we were thinking of withdrawing our approval because of the bond failing, and we didn't have the money that we were looking for. We might have it someday, but we don't have it now. So I thought that was under discussion, that we would approach and indicate that we have to, rescind our vote or whatever we call it. No, Ken, no thought about that?
Well, as far as, I don't know that it's strictly speaking required, but it really depends on what the plan is gonna be going forward. So I think step 1 is really to figure out what the goal is gonna look like, and then from there, it may make sense to revisit whether the bid should be canceled, or what, depending on sort of what direction things go.
We haven't talked since financial meeting, so there's a lot to
Well,
talk about. The council.
I know, that's why I put on the agenda future plans. I think we've got to address
I
it.
should have a work session, tell you the truth.
That's what we messed up.
That should be recommendation. Council assistant.
I would like to have a work session.
Wait to
No.
do it.
You guys actually do work sessions?
No.
Not many,
No.
not very much, not very often.
Not like we used to, huh?
I know we did. We had a lot of issues.
Walk around the building again.
Yeah, no, I think it's just the options of what you wanna do, there's
Yeah.
plenty of options, but you gotta pick one,
Yep.
and then work towards,
That sounds like a good idea.
And
yeah.
as to the details of the contract review, I wouldn't wanna get into that. So I sent that out to everybody by email. I wouldn't wanna discuss that publicly.
What you wouldn't want to do, what?
Discuss the,
Oh.
the contract itself, the
Here,
terms in the
no.
contract, not in public.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll leave it on there, you wanna do a work session and.
Yeah.
Yes, and the work session can be future plans.
You did, you did.
Monday's work, next week, the following week.
$1,000.
I'm open. I'm open.
You wanna do it at the new building?
We can. We have to do it in the parking lot, right?
I mean, it's not like, well, yeah, you wouldn't wanna I wouldn't wanna have a public meeting there with no,
Yeah,
with no
because
boards in it.
No.
Porta John.
How badly do you wanna have a meeting there, you know?
Patty, how long did they have the outhouses out back here?
A long time.
I'm available the 14th.
Oh, I am not available 14th, that's probably the only day I can.
When's Olivia?
Oh, wait a minute, the 14th is my mother's birthday, I'm not available.
Ooh, I'm available 21st.
21st.
Okay, 21st is good.
21, everybody?
Olivia's not gonna be back from work.
She's, I think, going for 2 weeks. I think, but she told me and I can't remember
She'll be
exactly.
back.
Just a work session.
What's the 21st is, what day of the week?
Monday,
2 weeks from tonight.
2 weeks.
2 weeks from tonight?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, no?
I don't know, I think that's close, but
Okay.
that's the only day of the week that works for people.
Well, he's not available the 14th.
Well, I mean, does it have to be that Monday, or could it be later?
Yes, thank you.
I don't know what the use of the building is.
For Mondays?
Well, no, for other days of the week. Thursday, but somebody meets there, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
planning
You
board,
guys-
No, the zoning board's not meeting this month.
no, the planning board meets the
Planning board's
4th.
meeting the end of the month.
What's
They're
your
not
name?
meeting next
22nd.
month. Yeah.
Would you guys be able to wait till a little bit later in the week?
I can do that, I figured Monday was the easiest job.
Well, I'm just saying, I'd really like to have 5 of us
Everybody,
here
yeah.
when we talk about this.
You'd like to have what?
When is
Well,
she
5
coming
of us
back?
here.
Over 5 is it, you want
Yeah.
to make another date?
Well, later that week, because I'm not sure when I know she's in Europe.
Thursday the 24th?
Yeah, would that be okay?
I can't do the 24th.
Can't do the,
I can do 24.
but he can.
I can't.
He
You can't
needs
do
to be
24?
Yeah, I
here.
got a colonoscopy the next day.
Oh, gee.
Oh,
No, we don't wanna be around for
I
that.
got mine in August.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
about the
That's it.
Wednesday? Anybody
I can do
care?
Wednesday.
Would the Wednesday work?
The 23rd?
Well, could that work?
23rd?
That'll work.
Could
I
we
can
do
do the
that?
23rd.
Lynn, is that open here?
It should be,
Yes,
Wednesday
it is,
nights
it is
are, right?
Wednesday night it's open.
Yeah, how about the 23rd, people?
That'll work.
Okay.
23 I can do.
Okay.
That's at what time?
6:30.
6:30, it's gonna be to
Here.
be determined.
Here,
It's gonna
right?
be here?
Yeah. It's just gonna be a work session, so no voting, right?
That's
No
good.
voting.
He said here because we can't have the
Right.
public there.
Okay, 6:30, the 23rd. Work session, town hall. You voting?
No voting, only yelling.
That's right.
All right, number 11, communications, we had none. Number 12, executive session, you said one thing?
We got a couple of things, we'll try to
We
make
got
it
three
quick.
things.
Three things on, do you wanna take a couple of minutes?
Yes.
Okay, we'll take a couple minutes.
Sorry,
I'm sorry.
I'm coming down.
Told you,
Don't
I mean,
believe-
executive
I
session.
should have made the request.
I could have
now,
tonight.
But we didn't go in yet. Don't come back, would you, for a few
Yeah,
minutes?
come back.
Come on, how can you miss, how